Welcome, listeners, to another episode of the Horrormongers Literary Society, where again we try to prove to you that we know how to read.
Yeah. Some of us know how to read. Some of us not so much. Welcome to another special episode. Here today you have myself, Zach.
I'm Matt.
I'm Brad.
Oh, I'm Tim. I'm here. I don't get an introduction this time?
No.
All right.
You don't get a special... You've already been on the episode before. I mean,
And our special guest.
it's kind of like old news. We've already had you in the bedroom. We don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
It's like we've seen it, been there, done that.
Hey, listeners, it's really good to be back.
Yeah, today we are doing... We're going in chronological order, if you guys don't know, with Stephen King's life works.
Yeah.
We are.
So Salem's Lot
is his second novel.
This week's episode. And it's his second novel, came out in, I didn't do research, 77?
75.
75.
I did research. I didn't want Tim to show me up again like last time. He was doing all the research.
I only did a little research this time, just a little.
Stephen King wrote this in 75. It's his second novel. The first one being our last episode of the Literary Society, which was Carrie.
Really broadened his horizons this time when it comes to character development, because he really goes more into...
Yeah, we'll definitely be talking about it.
You can tell just by the number of
wait.
pages.
Yeah.
He wrote a lot more pages.
No, it's twice as big as Carrie.
You know, say Carrie was, 300 and something pages? This was like 600?
Yeah. No,
Depending
it's
on
like,
what version.
it's like
Depends on,
400.
which version.
Mine was like 4.
I had a small, paperback.
Yeah,
All of
I
us
got
believe in
the
hard
paperback.
copy.
I got the version that Brad got, because this time I borrowed Brad's book. But it was great.
I have books.
Yeah, this we'll definitely be talking about that, because this novel focuses much more on the characterizations than Carrie did.
Yes.
Yeah.
The town is really the main character in this.
Which is really what Stephen King is known for.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to talk about our next segment, which is how we're doing.
What's new with us?
What's new with us? So Matt and Brad did not do anything yesterday, so we can just skip over them. Yesterday, I was busy not working because it's been freezing cold.
So Matt and Brad did nothing, and you were busy not working.
Yeah. Pretty exciting.
We could have done nothing together.
I know.
Well, Matt and I, in the freezing cold, what it was, negative 1,000?
Yep,
Yeah,
that's about
something
right.
like that,
Celsius.
yeah.
And we went and saw Metallica in
Metallica!
concert. Yeah, it was amazing. Blew my mind.
Yeah, we were on the floor for that one.
Yeah, we were in spitting distance of the band members, and I couldn't have been happier.
I don't like how he keeps saying spitting distance. This is not the first time.
Because they spit a lot. Like, I
They do
totally
spit
could have
a
caught
lot.
some of it. Like, James is spit. Yay, I'm going to keep it. Never wash
I
my
feel
hand
bad
after
for the guy
catching
who
it.
has to clean up the stage after that.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's
They
disgusting.
really spit a lot.
Gallagher of Spit.
Especially Lars, dude. He gets his drumming down, and then he's just like spitting all over the place.
But
No one cares about Metallica. Metallica's stupid.
Yeah, but other than all the saliva, it was a pretty good show.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
What time did it start, if you don't mind me asking?
7:30.
7:30.
Well,
so when I was texting you, you were already in the show.
Metallica came on at 9. They played for like a little over 2 hours.
The
Was
comedian,
there an opening act?
Yeah, the
Jim
comedian
Brewer.
Jim Brewer. Yeah.
What?
Oh,
A
okay.
comedian opened for a...
Yeah, it was weird.
He's a huge metal fan,
Uh-huh.
and it was like a. It was a little interesting because he does a lot of work about metal. So he was kind of like the host
I really
of the
don't
whole
care.
show.
How
So-
cool would that be to be the opening
No.
act for Metallica? Just get
Yeah.
to ride around with Metallica.
Apparently, he's
Yeah.
friends with them apparently. So
he's done work with them before.
I don't really have much to say about it. It wasn't that great. His work. It was interesting. It was new, but other than that,
Cool. Metallica sucks.
I give it a out of 10.
Out of 10. I give it Metallica sucks out of 10. I didn't even go. I was busy at home waiting for you guys to text me for me to join you in Metallica.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why
Well,
no
Brad
one
had
texted
like
me.
a million extra tickets left over, so
You
you
could've
should
Should have
gone.
given it to me.
You could have come. You
went
should have
to-
given me money.
I'm not going to give you money. I don't have money.
I went to the gym and ate a steak last night. It was a pretty good night.
Man,
That sounds awesome.
trying to show us up. He gets to go eat steaks. Just ignore the noises.
Yeah, really.
Why are
This is the
noises
same thing that
happening?
happened last week.
It happens every week. I'll never mute this. So let's get into news, or as we like to call it, news, not news.
News, not
News, not news.
news, not.
Get out of here, Terror Dispatch. It's news, not news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we actually have news. We're actually going to start doing more news like stories, and I'll start it off with Resident Evil news. Two things. One, if you're not aware, Resident Evil 2 Remake has come out, and it's basically a whole new game. It's not like the same Resident Evil 2. It's a whole new game, new graphics.
Heard it's phenomenal.
A lot of people are like really praising this game.
Yeah.
It was definitely the best for me, anyway. As a kid, when I was playing the original, Resident Evil 2 was my favorite. So
I saw like a little clip of it, and
Yeah.
it actually reminded me more of Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
Like the feel of it.
yeah,
That over-the-shoulder kind of first-person, yet third-person.
yeah. Really, ever
thing.
since 4, Resident Evil has been kind of doing more like that feel.
Yeah.
'Cause 4 was obviously is known as one of the best.
It's the
Resident
best
Evils,
one.
Yeah.
It really is.
yeah.
Yeah, 4 is my favorite one.
Even though it's a cult and not necessarily zombies, but zombies.
Yeah, it's kind of zombies
but
parasite.
still.
I think Resident Evil is honestly worthy of an entire Horrormongers episode. Honestly, there's been enough movies and enough games
That's
that
true.
you guys
Oh
might
my
think
God.
about. The first movie scared me to death as a kid.
First
honestly.
movie's
and
good.
not even the zombies. It was the Red Queen cutting everybody up with lasers.
Yeah.
I was like, that
That's
was
the
freaky.
best scene.
That was
best
freaky.
scene. And then the laser grid cheats.
Yeah.
And it turns into like a net and
Yeah.
it just cuts everyone.
Cuts that
them,
down to
It's
ground beef.
It's
Yeah.
been so long.
I
I
haven't
don't
seen that
remember.
movie.
We definitely have to
Forever.
do that because another piece of news is apparently Netflix is thinking about doing a Resident Evil series.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have a showrunner, so it's very early in talks. But there might be a Resident Evil series on Netflix, and supposedly it's going to be done or produced at least by the same guys who did the movies. So think of that
kinda
what
iffy.
you will. The first movie was good. The second one was okay. The third through 20th was terrible.
Yeah,
so
I think I saw the first one, but I haven't seen the first one.
I've seen the
in a long
first
time.
4.
Well, I recently came into owning the first, like, 6 movies
Resident
or something
Evil?
like that. Yeah, they were given to me.
Oh,
There's
shit.
6 Resident Evil
There's
movies.
more
So
than that.
I don't know how
There's
many there are.
more than
There's
that.
more than
I was-
that.
I
Way
was
more
stopped
than that.
after like 3. I think.
I stopped
Yeah.
after 3.
I now own several
4.
of them. I haven't even seen past, I think, 3 or 4.
We watched one
I
in
don't even
theaters. Remember years ago? We watched one in the theaters. There's like crows in the desert.
Was it
or something.
Apocalypse?
Yeah.
Was that
Yeah,
the
yeah,
one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then
Oh,
I haven't
yeah, I
seen
remember
past
that
that
one.
one.
Yeah, same.
After that, I was like, why did they make this? And then another one came out. I'm like, why are they making more?
That had the guy from Game of Thrones in it. He was the bad
Which
guy.
one,
in it.
sir?
Jorah Mormont was the bad guy in it.
really?
I believe. Yeah, I believe. Look it up. But
He
yeah,
was
I
like
believe.
that guy from Game of Thrones out of like 300 characters.
Well, I think they just should do what everyone is hoping for and just make a Resident Evil 4
Remaster?
adaptation.
Oh, an adaptation
of
series.
like a series. Yeah,
That would be
Well,
interesting.
they need to focus on. Okay, so they did Claire before. The movies were about Claire, and she's the one who's. If I'm, it's Claire, right? She's the one in the movies.
I can't
or is it
remember.
Jill?
Again, it's
Crap.
been a long time.
Let me
Jill.
know.
It was Jill
It's
Valentine.
Jill in
Jill
the movies.
Valentine.
I know in the first Resident Evil it's Jill. I don't know
Yeah,
if it's
I believe it's Jill
Claire
Valentine.
or Jill, what they call her. Anyway, so they follow her. So maybe they can follow Leon because Leon is in 4.
Oh,
he's
yeah,
also
he's the
in
main
2.
guy.
He's a main guy.
And the president's daughter.
He's a deuteragonist. I'm using big words, I know. He's a deuteragonist in 2, and he's
I
also
love Big Lebowski. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, Deuteronomy.
A deuteragonist means there's 2 main characters, or multiple main characters. Deuteragonist. He
Drop your phone
is.
again, Tim.
He is that, and it's.
They wouldn't have. They probably wouldn't have even known if you hadn't said anything. Brad.
seriously.
Thanks.
And Claire Redfield's the other one in Resident Evil 2. So maybe they can follow that. I don't know. They need. I think we've had enough of Jill. Mia, whatever her name is, Kokopovich.
Jokovic or Djokovic.
Yeah.
I don't know it either.
Yeah.
Mia Khalifa.
Yeah. If you get that, you're sick.
Oh, wait, you're talking about from Fifth Element.
Yeah, Jovovich, whatever
Yeah,
her name
Mila
is.
Jovovich, yeah.
Yeah.
She was in Fifth Element. It was great.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the news.
But
But
from
also, I
me.
mean, it's either Ian or Lane Glynn. He's in Game of Thrones, and he's also in Resident Evil Apocalypse and Extinction.
Let me see.
I just looked it up. Yeah,
Who's he
Jorah
play?
Mormont is in both of those.
What's his name? Is it Whisker?
Is that Lane or Ian? Is that a capital I or lowercase L?
I honestly don't know.
He's probably British, but
Yeah, I'm gonna go and say
wait a
it's
minute.
a capital
I
I.
have a quick piece of news.
All right.
if I may, just
Yeah.
like every time I'm on this show, a quick piece of news.
All right, what is it?
Back on the 4th episode, I was here and I was talking about how True Detective was coming out, and now it is out. We're about to get our 5th episode this Sunday.
I've not
It's
seen
been
season 1.
excellent so
Really?
far. The 2nd season doesn't hold a candle to what this 3rd season has been so far, and maybe I don't know. We still got hopefully at least 3 or 4 episodes to go, but It's been really good. I recommend it. It's been creepy. It's all about this detective chasing down 2 kids that disappeared, and I don't want to give much away, but there's been deaths. There's been
I don't need to watch it.
Yeah, now there's death.
It's much more to the heart of the first season than the second season. Also, going back to just how we are for a second, I have a bone to pick with Mr. Brad.
Good.
Second.
I do too, but I want to know yours is.
Because I've listened to the last episode where you guys rated all the movies of 2018 a couple times now, and I'm going to have to listen to it again when I edit down the audio to put on YouTube. But
I don't believe in editing.
You guys reviewed a lot of movies, and a lot of them you guys didn't think were very good. Honestly, you guys have very high standards for horror.
There was a lot of shit.
Some of us more than others.
There was a lot of shit, and I say that word, but there were no dumpster fires. Where were the dumpster fires last episode? I did not hear dumpster fire described one time.
I'll go ahead and describe it. The Meg.
I do plan on bringing that up in this episode. It will happen.
That's your catchphrase, man. You better bring it up.
The Meg, dumpster fire. Brad,
I couldn't believe
Brad
it.
agrees.
It's like a 2-hour episode with no dumpster fire.
Also, Bird Box. Matt agrees with that too.
Bird Box was...
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Shut up.
I wouldn't call that a dumpster fire.
You're bringing up bad memories, Tim. We're gonna kill each other over this.
I was actually a dumpster fire.
Funnily enough, I was actually upstairs with Jess last episode, and we were getting drunk, and that's why she was yelling down the stairs.
Can you hear it in the episode?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can hear it in the episode. Are you kidding me?
Because we don't.
You can also hear how frustrated Brad was.
We don't listen to these episodes.
No.
We just record and put them out there and go. Oh,
and
see what
I
happens.
listen to them all the time.
We don't listen to them just like you guys don't listen to them.
Yeah.
So
Because the only person who listens to us is here with us right now.
Yeah, there you go. Nick listens. Nick and maybe John Kelly.
maybe John Kelly.
But and we've got some new likes on Facebook. So hey, maybe those people will listen.
Yeah,
to
thanks to Tim. We're really pushing to get more people out there listening. So check out
Thanks to
YouTube.
Tim. I was using the free credit they gave us on Facebook.
But yeah,
YouTube's really going to help because I've had so many people ask me, like, are you on YouTube? And I keep saying no, but now that I can
almost
actually
caught
tell
up.
people
Yeah,
that we
almost
are.
caught up.
We're almost caught up. If you're listening to this, it'll be on YouTube, but also we've got past episodes on there. Right now, there's the first 4, and here in the coming weeks, it'll be everything, and then we'll just every week we'll be putting it on YouTube.
We'll be caught up.
So please follow us on YouTube. It's a great platform.
Our newest
dropping?
episode, we're pretty much dropping SoundCloud except for the newest episode. You can always listen to our newest episode on SoundCloud, but for now, we think YouTube is the better way to go. First off, it's free, and we don't have a lot of money. Because you guys won't donate to us, except for someone here. We have a Patreon.
That's why I get to be on so many episodes.
Yeah. That and Tim is, I like to call, the man in the chair.
The man in the chair?
Yeah, the guy behind the scenes.
Oh,
He's the man behind the scenes.
I'm also sitting in a chair right now.
Yeah.
So.
He's the man behind the scenes. Like, in any movie, like an Alias or any superhero show, you have like the person that's doing all the computer work and all that.
Like the guy behind the curtain
Yeah.
in Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Even though I have literally nothing to do with the content, I have a little bit to do with the social media and the getting it out there. Yeah. So happy to be here.
Oh, he also gives us ideas and stuff.
I try.
So let's go ahead and let's move on to the meat. There is no recent movies. We kind of really just focused on Salem's Lot. I read it in like 2 days. I think Tim did too.
Yeah, I mean, I read it way slower than you in 2 days. Actually, I read it over the course of 2 weeks, and I got through the first 50 pages in about the first week and a half.
Yeah.
And then I had to read the last, 320 pages in about 2 days. So I spent a good Saturday doing nothing but reading. But also, before we get into this, I just want to say we should all go see Glass together.
Oh, I agree, 100%.
Glass is now out in theaters, and I think that would be a good Horrormongers one too. Some M. Night Shyamalan episode, maybe. Talk about how shitty some of his stuff is.
I agree. What do you guys think? M. Night Shyamalan?
The only movies that are good of his are the ones that Bruce Willis are in, so I'm down to go see it.
Yeah.
All right, we'll definitely.
Signs was okay, even though Mel Gibson's in it.
Charlie Sheen was good in it.
Charlie Sheen was in Signs.
That
He's
was
a scary movie.
That's Scary Movie 3.
Yeah, he was great in that one.
Best part is like, hey man, I need a ride home. After he killed his wife, he drunk drove and killed his wife. He's like, hey man, I need a ride home. All right, so
You mean she broke her wiener?
book time. Salem's Lot.
Oh, I didn't
Pop
even
into
read
it.
Yeah,
This was that one with the vampire and the werewolf that were fighting over that girl.
yeah.
right?
Pretty much, they're all
There were,
sparkly
like 4
and
books, and a lot of teenage girls like it.
This is the vampire book that doesn't have vampires for the first 500 to 600 pages.
Yeah.
We all read different versions. My version had what, like 430 pages.
Mine had 600.
Yeah.
It's a
I had
long
paperback
book.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like 606 or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, for the first, let's say, 2/3 at least of the book, there was no vampires.
Very, very few.
Very few. Mention. They mentioned.
close to, yeah.
It was a little
like,
sucking,
it
but
was-
it wasn't of blood.
A lot of sucking.
it
It's
was-
Stephen King. He likes his...
It was hinted,
Sex.
but it was like, all right,
Yeah.
let's get
All
somewhere.
right, so let's go. Let's go down. We have an outline. We actually been doing some work.
well,
Brad has.
well, first off, this book came out in 1975.
Oh,
right?
It did.
Yeah.
Didn't mention that
Second
already.
It was published by Doubleday, if that means anything to anyone.
Are you
Double what?
Are you reading Wikipedia right now?
Double
Okay.
day?
Okay, so the book starts out. Ben Mears, he is the main protagonist of the book.
Yeah, he's definitely not a Stephen King insert.
Oh, yeah. He's a writer. Oh.
He's a writer, and he also used to teach. He mentioned how he had a past job as a teacher. And did you know Stephen King had a past job as a teacher?
Well, that almost sounds like a parallel to Stephen King's life.
Almost.
Oh my.
Interesting.
All right, so yeah, Ben.
So, Ben Mears, he is a writer. He comes to Jerusalem's Lot, which, honestly, I did not know that Salem's Lot was short for Jerusalem's Lot.
it's not
Created
short.
before-
They renamed it.
Yeah.
It's because Salem was a
So,
pig.
Before I knew
Yeah.
anything about
It was named
Salem's
after a
Lot,
pig.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
before I knew anything about it, I thought it was a book on witches.
Uh-huh.
Because it was Salem's Lot. I was like,
Oh.
like Salem, witch trials, whatever.
Oh,
And
Jerusalem.
everyone-
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
someone was
yeah.
like, no, it's about vampires. This was like way before I even got into King. And
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Well,
I don't
finally-
get it.
Funnily enough, did you know Stephen King originally wanted to call this book The Second Coming? Did anybody
Yeah.
see that in their research?
I think
He
I saw a
wanted to-
video called that on the internet.
Well, no, get this. I agree. He wanted to call it The Second Coming, and Tabitha King, his wife, said, that sounds way too much like a porno title. You've got to name it something else. So he wanted to call it Jerusalem's Lot, and then the publisher
much of a
said, let's
mouthful.
make it Salem's Lot.
Sounds like
And that's
Tabitha
why
King
it's-
knows how to party.
Yeah. Tabitha King.
Yeah,
Now
good
look
honor.
She's like, no, that's porn. I would know
So,
from experience.
Ben, who is a dark-haired man who's older. He's definitely older.
I
He's in,
was going to say a bearded, bald, 10-foot tall black woman. Because the way they portrayed him in the movie, he was
we'll get there. The movie's way off, unless you like Starsky and Hutch. So, Ben is a writer. He's older. He's like in his 30s, and his wife died.
wow. He's older in his 30s.
Well, it's going to be important because I'm looking at your number 2. Ben meets Susan Norton, who's
Okay,
younger,
yeah.
in her early 20s.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
like,
Is she
there's like
early
a,
20?
She just graduated.
yeah, there's like a 12-year
Yeah.
difference between
She
the two
Graduated
of them.
college and all that.
Yeah, she's like 22 probably. I don't know.
Okay.
So anyway, so Ben comes to town. He's originally from Salem's Lot. He's coming back to the Marston house, which is a big part of the book.
Yes, the Marsden House.
He has an experience at the Marston house as a kid. He doesn't really go into it in the beginning, but he's there to rent the Marston house and to write a book. He finds out upon getting there that the Marston house is no longer for rent. Someone has bought it. Which is a big deal because the Marston house is seen as this taboo, haunted house in Salem's Lot. Like, all the people know about it and all that. So,
Also, real estate just sucks.
yeah.
The market's just flipping, flopping all over the place.
Yeah, if I remember about real estate in 1975.
It was pretty bad.
It was definitely a crisis of sorts. I mean, Jimmy Carter was in office, so it must have been. Anyway,
I laugh because I don't know what that means.
He was a peanut farmer.
he was a peanut farmer.
Oh, that's right, he was.
Jimmy Carter caused...
Didn't he quit the presidency to become a peanut farmer?
Yeah, no, he lost.
Something
but
like that.
He created something called stagflation, meaning that his economy was so bad that not only do we have inflation, but we had stagnation.
One-term president, just like
sounds
hopefully
gross.
our current president.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Tim's always got to make
Well,
it political.
You have more faith in the political system than I do.
Yeah, that's a little off topic here.
So Ben's in town. He meets Susan. What do we think about Susan? Someone else tell me about Susan.
She's a woman?
She got big old boobs.
What? Hold on. Does anyone have the book so I can see that part? Wait, here it is. Stephen King writes.
Big old boo.
It's actually big old titties.
Yep.
Page 64.
TIDDIE.
Yeah, titties.
It said that Ben Mears wants to be the mayor of Titty City.
But Susan's an artist, and she sells some of her paintings, and she's a younger, like you guys said, early
20s, like 22,
Yeah.
23.
But
probably.
importantly,
like
she is a fan of Ben. She knows Ben.
Yeah, she's read his books.
From
She's
his
got his
novels.
books when they meet. Right?
Yeah, she was reading his
Yes.
book when they met.
She shows a picture of him.
And she
Like,
recognizes
she goes, hey,
him.
this is you.
This
Yeah.
is you.
And instantly,
They make love.
yeah.
Pretty much. 4 hours
that.
later, give her some credit. It takes like that evening before they do it.
That's all
They
Stephen
go
King.
to the local soda fountain.
Yeah.
That's right.
They get a soda.
They don't even go to a bar. They're just like, hey, let's go to the little diner down the road.
Yeah.
Well, let's
Get
give
a
them
soda.
some credit. It is like 2:00 in the afternoon. They're not me and you.
Yeah.
Oh. Come on. Who doesn't drink at 2 in the afternoon?
So I
Hey,
think
hey, you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
that's true.
Am I right?
true.
Am I right? Cheers.
They go to the soda fountain. Ben kind of asks out Susan, and Susan's like, I would love to. I have no attachments whatsoever. I'm not dating anyone. There's no problems here, except for the fact that she is currently dating someone.
Floyd Tippett.
Yeah.
Floyd.
She's a
It's
fickle-
Floyd. It's not
Ned. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get
It's
there.
Not Ned. It's Floyd Tibbetts. So this is all going on, and that's the end of the novel. They make love.
Yeah.
They make love.
Because Stephen King likes to write all of his characters as authors, and he likes to portray them as studs, you know?
Yeah, he's very definitely self-inserting the main
Yeah.
character as himself. He's like, and then he whipped out his lightsaber and cut all the vampires' heads off. And then Bill's very hard penis was 10 inches long no matter what my wife Tabitha says. I mean...
I'm going to have to reread this book.
Yeah.
But I feel like the next major thing that happens is Larry Crockett selling. You go into the chapter of the lot, which
Yeah.
is basically introduces you to everybody in the town. Right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's where it gets that's where it got a little confusing with me because they
There's so many
they throw in
names.
so many
Yeah, so many people.
all in one chapter. It's kind of hard, at least personally, to
Yeah.
keep track of everyone.
I know the people, I just don't know the names so well.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, it's weird because while I was reading that chapter, it was like, oh my gosh, there's so many characters in this book.
Yeah.
How am I ever going to keep track of this? But then by the end of it, it's like, okay, like I feel like I got the gist of
Yeah.
everybody. There's some characters that aren't that important, but they're just there to like spice up the book.
Yeah.
There's some characters that are really important, some characters that are minor but important.
Yeah.
And you get to meet everybody. But I felt like the most important part of that chapter was Larry Crockett's,
Oh,
Lawrence
definitely.
Crockett's section of it, where he sells the
deal.
house and the old
Laundromat.
The old
Well,
laundromat.
he's one of the first people mentioned from the lot.
Yeah, I think he's in, like, the first-
because Ben goes immediately
Ben goes
to
to
him,
and he tells him to go to Ava's boarding house because the place has been sold.
Yeah, he's trying to find a place to live, and he's like, Marsden House, and he's like, no, Marsden House has been sold.
And
Yeah,
they kind of
to-
go Straker
Straker and
and
Barlow.
So
Or
Lawrence
the-
Crockett, Larry Crockett sells it to Straker.
Yeah.
Here we come with Straker. here.
Straker.
But we didn't even mention
What a
Davy
dummy.
Crockett.
Davy Crockett.
When does Davy Crockett come in?
He's saving the
It's
Alamo.
like the Alamo.
Yeah.
And
Good things happen to him at the Alamo. So yeah, we got Crockett, and is that the chapter where they mention how Crockett sold the?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like he's like, oh, you're gonna give me like $4 million for this place or whatever, and he gets
Yeah.
this great deal from Straker and from his partner Kurt Barlow.
Yeah, under the ruling is he cannot tell anyone about the deal because he gives them land. What it is he gives them land for the thing. He doesn't give them money. He gives them land that's going to be worth like a bunch of money.
Yeah. Sells it to him for $1 if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he's because you have to for tax
that's
purposes.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why like the president, like Trump, who says or like CEOs, they always take $1 salary because you need to have a
hey,
salary.
You're mentioning Trump now.
Yeah. So anyway, he does this, and the movie actually goes in detail, like the reason why. Because I was always wondering, why is Straker trying to do this? Like, why is he giving him land instead of just paying him outright? The movie kind of goes into this, and I'm starting to think the book is implying it as well. As it's like an invitation. Like Crockett is kind of inviting the vampires now to live there by like he's not.
Yeah.
light bulb.
Yeah, because he's
Really? Yeah, we had that. Yeah, I totally get
because
that.
the
Yeah,
movie
I-
kind of mentions
I
that.
didn't even
like
think
you invited
that,
them
like-
here because he goes, "Why is it?" Because the movie kind of mentions it.
Yeah, we'll get more into
Yeah.
why it's important to invite a vampire
Only-
into a
but the
residence.
The remake movie mentions that.
Yes.
And that actually makes more sense.
It makes more sense because
so.
it was kind of weird that he was like very shady. If he had all this money and all this stuff, why not just pay him? I
Yeah.
don't understand. So I guess it's a way, kind of way around. Because if he sold it to him, it's not necessarily inviting. And so this way, he's kind of inviting him through like this thing. And the other part of the deal is he's not to mention to anyone. He's to be like kind of at the beck and call of Barlow and Straker, mostly Straker, because Barlow's not really seen for the majority of this book.
Barlow's
Yeah,
somewhere else.
Barlow
No,
comes at the end.
Everyone's
Yeah.
like, where the hell's Barlow? Who
Yeah.
is this guy? Like, the whole book, everyone's like, where is this guy? And he's like, oh, he'll be here.
But as Matt just said, the most important person always comes at the end.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah.
I get it. It's sexual.
But
So yeah, we got all this going on. Susan and Ben are hitting it off pretty well.
Yeah,
Like
very well.
they, the dad, Susan's dad likes him. Mom, not so much. They make love like day one. They're like, I can't wait. He's like, yeah, I know.
yeah, I mean, it is like they have dinner with the parents, and then Ben takes her to the park, and
Yeah.
right in the middle of the park.
Yeah, just do it.
Yeah, good
It's
on
the
him.
doing it
you know?
part.
Yeah, good for him.
Like not make out. They said it's where teenagers make out, but apparently Susan's like, let's see if we can do adult making out, and they just do it.
Yeah, that's what adult making out is. It's just,
I assume adults don't make out. There's no
it's-
such thing as foreplay, no matter what all my past relationships have said.
it's just coitus. It's,
Yeah.
You know,
Just go right to the point.
yeah.
But I feel like the first major incident in the book is when Ralphie Glick disappears.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ralphie Glick
That
and
is
Danny
pivotal,
Glick.
pivotal moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh.
Ralphie Glick and Danny Glick are an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old, and they're going to see this other kid at school, Mark Petrie. Petrie, what a crazy last name. Isn't that a character from The Land Before Time?
Yeah,
Petrie?
it
Petrie,
is.
yeah, it is.
I just keep thinking about the dish.
Petri dish.
The Indian cuisine.
What?
But Mark ends up being a very, very important character. Mark that they're going to visit. But Ralphie and Danny are going to visit him to do homework or to just check him out. I don't
They
know
want
how
to see he had he's a horror movie collector or whatever. He had horror collection. They want to go see his figures and
Yes,
his magazines
yes.
and all that stuff.
And on the way there, on the way back, it gets very scary. They're very scared for no reason, and then all of a sudden, Ralphie's gone, and then Danny shows up back at home. Danny, the 12-year-old, shows back at home, and Ralphie's gone. And all the characters for the next couple chapters, I feel like, are looking for Ralphie.
Oh yeah.
And no one can find
it's the whole
Ralphie.
thing. Well, it's a town where nothing happens, and all of a sudden, a child is missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Ben shows up, and also Straker and Barlow show up too.
At the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they
they're
all three of them show up at the same time.
Can we
Actually, well, no. I think Straker and Barlow show up a little bit before that.
Yeah, well, obviously
Like
because
they've
they buy the
been there.
house.
They've been there a
Yeah.
little bit, but the big thing is Ben shows up, and all of a sudden shit starts happening.
Yeah.
And that's why Parkins Gillespie, the
one of
officer,
my
Constable.
favorite.
Oh,
Yeah.
possibly the
Constable.
best character in the whole
yeah,
book. Parkins Gillespie.
He immediately starts assuming Ben is.
I don't know
the
if
reason
he
for it.
he suspects. He doesn't think it's him, but he's doing his job. Like he's always calm and
Yeah, he's doing his job, but he's
there's
like,
nothing-
okay, well, here's.
it's more Nolly
shows up,
that
shit
really.
starts happening.
Nolly's kind of
Yeah.
the one that's a gung ho, like it must be Ben, but he's like, let's wait and see. you
There's
know?
nothing immediate about Parkins Gillespie. Parkins
Yeah.
Gillespie is laid back the whole book up to the point where he's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, he's like spoilers. He's like the only person in the entire town that survives because he's the only smart one.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
really is.
But yeah, Parkins he does suspect Ben, but he's very cordial and very polite, and he's he's not like a dick like everyone else.
I want
Yeah.
to back up just a tad little bit here and mention within introducing the lot, all the people in the lot, there's this one small bit
Oh, my favorite part.
where What's the name?
McDougal's.
The McDougal family. They have this. It's a young couple, and they have this little baby.
Yeah, it won't shut up.
Yeah, and the
Jeez.
baby doesn't shut up, so the mother beats the shit out of it.
Which is her right.
She punches the
Oh
baby.
my god!
It was the 70s, guys.
Yeah,
Come on.
seriously, you're allowed to. Like,
As I'm reading this, though, she's like, "Oh," and then she
Not just once.
she punches the baby a couple of times.
It gives that baby two black eyes. That
Yeah.
was honestly a little hard to read. I was like, my gosh.
Well, honestly, that could be done in one blow. It's a
Jeez.
baby.
I text Brad, and Brad's like, oh yeah, it was awesome. I'm like the only one that has I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't think it was awesome at all. Brad's like, oh no, I was rock hard reading this.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's inaccurate, but
It's not that inaccurate.
no. I
Oh
was
my
like,
God.
are you fucking kidding me? This is happening, and then it just like cuts off. They're like, oh, she punches the baby, and then the baby smiles at her, and then she cuddles a little bit, and then that's the end of that story. I'm like, that's it. You're not gonna go into the baby punching? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
what?
and then she's going to blame it on, like, the baby fell at the crib.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, whenever
Yeah.
the
Oh,
father
Coming up
came
with her
home.
alibi.
She doesn't want to go
Yeah.
to jail.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny. I told Brad via text a week or so ago that I was like 50 pages into the book, and he was like, "Did you get to the baby punching part yet?" I was
the
like,
most-
"Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
read
That's
that."
Brad's favorite part.
It's the most fucked up part. I was like, oh. So anyway,
I almost got the part where I found. Here we go. So here's what I text. I like to do a little behind the scenes of me
this
texting
should be a
Brad.
whole segment. Like, what did Brad text me this week?
I said, here's what I said. Also, finally, for real, started the book this morning. I am now 100 pages in and should be done by the weekend. I'm reading an hour a day. Holy shit, I don't care about the town and how it looks. I forgot how slow this book is. Here's what Brad says. Best part, ... the baby punching.
Best part. Quote from Brad.
I felt so terrible at that scene. He was very descriptive about it. And then Matt says he really was, but it's all right because the baby starts smiling after, so it's fine.
Yeah, the baby doesn't die, so...
And then
it's
Brad
all
says,
right.
enter Mike Tyson into the scene. And then he does a Mike Tyson impersonation on text. No babyies will be flying on my watch. And then he says, baby speed bag. So,
You guys should post those texts online.
Little Roy McDougal just like
Screenshots.
just speed bag.
this is all happening while I'm at work, so I don't know what to say. I'm like,
All right.
so baby punching, Brad's favorite scene.
Yep.
So
Yes.
we're going through this book, and I mean, honestly, like this, we're still in. If we're talking about the McDougals right now, we're still in the third chapter, which is the lot.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of characters in this book. I want to get. I mean, I don't know if you
kind of
guys.
hard to just go into all of that all at
Let's
once.
probably talk. We should probably
It's
talk
just-
about some of the more important
Well,
characters.
Ralphie Glick doesn't get found.
Yeah.
And then Danny Glick dies.
Yeah.
He just dies out of nowhere.
Yeah, he makes it home and he dies
Then he
like that
collapses.
night or next
He's
night.
got- He gets taken to the hospital.
He's all sick and like he's
Yeah.
just mopey and shit. And
Yeah, and
Being
then
a teenager.
and then he dies, and the coroner's like pernicious anemia.
yeah, that's their
Anemia.
explanation.
Anemia.
yeah,
anemia.
anemia. Yeah.
So
he kind of looks like it, right?
Yeah.
He's all pale.
well, that was the
and-
point, but then it makes no sense because like he just developed it overnight. It's what they're saying. Like,
And
it
I
makes
gotta
no
say,
sense.
one of the hardest scenes in the book to read is the scene at Danny Glick's funeral.
Oh, yeah.
when the dad is like
Oh,
he's looking
yeah,
around
that,
like he
that
doesn't.
was, that was heartbreaking.
Yeah, he's looking around like he doesn't understand anything. He doesn't know what's going on. And then he starts like yelling at the grave for his son to like stop playing. And then
Yeah.
he jumps into the grave.
He started
Yeah.
like, banging on like,
oh my
"Get out here right
God.
this second! I know, stop fooling around, boy!" And
That
all
was
that.
really,
Yeah, very
really-
dramatic.
I don't
That's-
even have kids, and that was hard to read.
I know that's
That
gonna be
was
me at
tough.
BJ's funeral. Stop fooling around! I swear it wasn't loaded.
But that funeral is a good segue into Mike Ryerson.
Yeah,
Because then we get to Mike Ryerson, who is like the town
caretaker, digger,
slash-
graveyard
He's
guy.
the grave digger.
Oh,
I
which
guess.
an important scene in the book. Before that, a dog is found dead.
Yeah,
Right.
we
yes.
didn't even touch on that. But right
And
before
Mike finds it.
before Ralphie dies, a dog is found dead, hanging from the gate of the cemetery.
it's the milkman's dog.
Yeah.
Dog.
Milkman, Irwin
then-
Pearton, whose name is
Yeah.
Win in the book, not in the movie.
I
Where
didn't
is
know.
Win?
They change everything.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
like there's no Matt in the.
Because that's the whole thing about the third chapter. It's the milkman going from house to house
Yeah,
and
and
meeting
that's
all
how.
these characters.
Yeah, and that's how we know about
Yeah.
The townspeople.
So the milkman's dog.
Is that how we did it?
Oh my god, yes.
Or at least the first couple sections.
Okay, it's been like 2 months since I read the book.
He's been extended. Okay, the first time he brought this up, it's like, it's been almost a month. This is today.
Now it's
and
2 months.
Now it's 2 months.
I've been reading a lot of shit since then.
He's been reading Harry Potter.
I've been reading a lot of buffer books in between Stephen King novels.
He's been reading, like...
So I can do it for this.
He's been reading Atlas Shrugged.
Some Ayn Rand.
Yeah.
What? I don't. What?
I'm making fun of you.
Oh, okay.
You're reading Harry Potter.
Thank you. No, Harry Potter's great. Next episode will be on Harry Potter.
Yeah, nothing but Harry Potter. Is there any other any main townspeople that we need to mention before we move on?
Oh,
Well, there's
shit,
definitely.
all of
I mean, if
Well,
we're
yeah,
gonna
let's talk
we're
about,
gonna
like-
mention Mike Ryerson, he digs the grave and stuff, and
Yeah.
he's all freaked out when he's digging the grave, and then it goes into Matt Burke.
Matt Burke is
we
another-
meet Matt Burke,
Yeah.
and then at the bar, Matt Burke and
There's-
Mike Ryerson. He takes
We
Mike
did.
Ryerson back to his house as a caretaker, not in a weird
sexual
not
way.
in
It
any
was sexual.
sexual
It was
way,
sexually.
not in any sexual way, but
But
Matt. Let's talk about Matt Burke.
Well, we didn't even.
He's a huge character.
We didn't talk about Ava Miller. We didn't talk about Weasel. We didn't talk about.
There's so many
There's
characters
so
to
many
talk
people
about.
to
Yeah.
talk
This is-
about. We can't
as
get
I
through
mentioned
them all.
earlier, the main character of Salem's Lot is the town of Salem's Lot. I mean, Stephen King's really trying to build up you
Yes.
care for these people because they're going to die, and that's the heart wrench part of this. So he wants you to be invested in these
Oh,
characters.
Dud.
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 He's
Dud's a
Dud,
character.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dud.
Oh.
Corey Bryant.
Yeah, Corey Bryant.
Weasel.
Charlie Rhodes.
Corey Bryant. Which one is he? Is he the
Corey
one
Bryant is the
stuffing
one who's having the
Sawyer?
affair
Yeah.
with Bonnie Sawyer.
Yeah. The Sawyers.
The Sawyers,
The
yeah.
Sawyers.
Which is one of my favorite scenes. Very good scene in the book.
Charlie Rhodes, the bus driver, which
Yes.
is also a pivotal
Oh,
moment.
yeah.
So you go
later
through
on.
he
all.
comes back.
The point I
Yeah.
want to make is you go through all these characters and you really get to know them. They all have their little quirks. Stephen King's really good at kind of like to the point where it's almost like get on with it, Stephen King. I
Yeah.
get
Yeah,
it.
that's what I felt like the entire book. Honestly, looking back and talking about it with everyone, I appreciate it more
Yeah.
because of the character development. How many characters are? It's impressive.
While I was
Yeah,
reading
I
it,
mean-
I was pissed off the entire time. Like fucking Stephen King.
Yeah.
God, 200 pages in, nothing's happened.
There's
What?
so,
So much
shit
detail.
happening.
There's so much detail about the town.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's
But he wants you to paint. I mean, he wants to paint a picture for the reader's mind, like
yeah.
on what's going on
Yeah.
and all the character development. And
Because they're gonna die or return into
Yeah.
vampires or both.
It's the classic small town.
Yeah.
It really is. Everybody knows each other, and so he's trying to introduce us to everybody.
Yeah,
So-
basically, everyone knows each other. Nothing happens in this town. That's why it's such a big deal
Yeah.
when, well, shit starts
Starts
happening.
yeah,
And
because they
Matt
suspect the
Burke.
newcomer.
Matt Burke.
He's a teacher.
He's an English teacher at the high school.
Been around forever. He's like, he's been teaching at this high school. He was Ben Mears is the main character. Can we all agree? Ben Mears is obviously the main character.
Yeah, he is.
There
Yeah.
are plenty of main characters.
Ben
but
Mears
Ben
is like
Mears
the-
is
Starts
what
with him.
Yeah.
Because, well, he has his own chapter. He has several chapters dedicated
Several
to just him. So, I mean, Father Callahan does too, which we'll get to. But
Yeah,
I mean,
Father Callahan and Mark and Susan. I mean, they all
yeah,
have
they're
lots of
all,
chapters.
and don't forget
And
Jimmy
Mark.
Cody,
And Jimmy Cody.
because I know the movies will. But
Yeah, Jimmy Cody gets left out of the movies, even though he's a great character.
Oh, my
but,
God.
But Matt Burke is he's like a late 50s school teacher, high
Yeah.
school teacher. He had Ben Mears as a student. He had almost everybody in this town as a
yeah,
student at one
and
point.
he's not like a super amazing teacher, but he's not a bad teacher. He's kind of like he kind of mentions how he won't like. He's kind of like just your middle of the road type of teacher. Like he'll never inspire anyone necessarily. Like people don't like sing his praises, but they don't hate him.
By the way, did we
Kinda
mention he's an
mentions-
English teacher? Because I feel like that's kind of important.
Yeah,
'cause-
I mentioned it.
I don't remember. That was like seconds ago.
English teacher.
I know.
We always mention it again. He's an English teacher.
Yeah, and that's why he ends up inviting Ben
To speak to his class.
over to his
he's-
Over to his house to
Or-
sleep over.
Well, yeah, no,
Ben, I would love for you to come
First
over and
off,
have a meal at
yeah.
my
They
place.
they never explicitly say Matt Burke's sexuality in the book. So you don't really know like what his deal is.
They do specifically mention he's never been
He's
married.
never been married. I mean, you know.
I don't know.
We're not going to get into it just like the book
hold
doesn't
on.
get into
In
it.
the remake, though,
He is gay. Or he's hinted impossibly.
No, he's played by Captain Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine,
Who's gay?
who is gay.
Is gay in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Is he gay in real life, the actor?
I have no idea.
It's very pertinent.
I don't know.
That is research that is far beyond me.
Anyway, no, in the movie we'll get to that. They also kind of hint that he could be gay.
He is incredibly articulate.
Yeah, that's not how they.
I don't know if that has
hint at it.
anything to do with it.
No,
but
that's not how they hint at it at all. The vampire.
maybe
Does.
he's I don't know.
But Matt Burke, he's a teacher, and he goes to the bar one night, and he sees Mike Ryerson. He's met Ben Mears already. They've had interactions. He knows Ben
They've
Mears
slept with each other.
But Matt Burke goes to the local bar Dell's,
Yeah.
DELL''S, Dell's, and he sees Mike Ryerson there, who is like the local gravedigger, whatever. After he's dug the grave for Danny Glick, and Mike Ryerson's not looking so good.
Yeah. Well, while burying the body, we should probably mention that he starts getting really paranoid. Like he goes, I know his eyes are open. He's staring at me. The boy, he's staring at me. And so he gets into the grave and he opens it up, says, "Wow, I know your eyes are open." He opens up, his eyes are open, and all of a sudden, he kind of blacks out, and he mentions, I think he feels like a stinging or something.
Yes.
It kind of cuts away after that.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Like maybe he got stung by a bee?
Yeah.
Or maybe he had someone bite into his neck.
Most likely the stung by the bee.
I would assume the bee.
I think it's the bee. And really, once Matt finds out he has a bee allergy, they give him epinephrine and they send him on his way, and that's the end of Salem's Lot. They find out it's all just a misunderstanding. These murders aren't really murders. It's pernicious anemia.
It's just a swarm of bees.
Yeah.
Good game. Let's go.
Good game.
We're done.
And then the movie My Girl was actually a sequel, and then the bee stings actually become fatal.
Oh, if Macaulay Culkin had been in this movie.
So, so Matt invites...
Matt's looking out for Mike, because Matt
Hold
Burke...
on, I just got an image of Macaulay Culkin. I'm allergic to vampires. Get away!
Hilarious
I
image.
don't know. It was funny for me.
It wasn't funny for me. I just want everyone to know at home, if you're listening, it was not funny for me.
I don't know why I found it that funny.
Maybe that was one of the things that was hilarious about last week's episode, that you found it so funny that Matt didn't know what a megalodon was. But it's like, not
How
many
would
people,
have I known?
How many people know really what
What
a
a
megalodon was?
because megalodons are just fresh in my mind.
Wow.
like-
Every magazine is covered with megalodons.
I did put up a weak defense for Matt, but, I mean, Brad just scared me with this intent of, I didn't want him to make fun of me.
But Matt Burke, the character, was a teacher of Mike Ryerson. And so he's like, goes over, he talks to him, he's like, "What's going on? You look really sick or whatever." Mike Ryerson starts explaining he's been really scared lately. He's been like sleeping a lot.
Yeah.
And so Matt Burke, again, we don't know anything about his sexuality, invites Mike Ryerson back. He says, I want you to come sleep with...
How do you word this? How do you word this without giving it... Because they're both grown-ass men. One's like in his 20s, the other one's in his 50s.
One's 27, the other's like 57.
He's
and
like,
the 57-year-old invites the 27-year-old back to his house.
Instead of going back to his own house, he's like, "Why don't you come to my house?"
Nothing wrong with a middle-aged man being attracted to
And
younger
really-
men.
It's very common.
And really, in the book, they make it seem
Innocent.
relatively innocent.
Yeah.
Like, he's just looking out for him.
Oh, he
And
also
so-
has
and-
an ulterior motive, because at this point, Matt has already started to suspect... Remember, he's already suspecting that vampires
he's like,
are at
something's
play.
going on.
And he wants to do more. He wants him to come over so he can take a good look
That's
at
one of the
him.
reasons I like Matt, because he was pretty open-minded about the
He was
whole
on the
thing.
ball. Like he was one of the first people. He realized
Yeah.
when he saw pernicious anemia, he started to think, okay, something's up. And then he starts to see people getting sick, including Mike, and he uses this as like an experiment. Let's see what happens. And if nothing happens, we get to have a fun pillow fight.
He's the Van Helsing of the story. They even say it later.
They say Matt Van Helsing,
Yeah. But, Mike Ryerson sleeps over at Matt's house that night in a different room. And,
Although Matt does walk in while Mike doesn't have a shirt on. Did anyone else get any sexy vibes from that?
I don't even remember that
He
part.
totally takes his shirt off.
He's like...
And Matt's like, oh.
And he's like, oh, and then all of a sudden,
Stephen King writing about him taking his shirt off was so...
Well, no, then Stephen King writes in Bow Chicka Wow Wow, plays, and then he goes, let's turn on some Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye was around 1975, right? No, I think it's
think
You're
so.
looking at us like we know.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's get
born in
on.
91.
And then Matt's like, oh, baby. And then Mike's like, I want to go to sleep, Mr. Burke. And he's like, no. He's like, Mr. Burke, are you trying to seduce me?
Marvin Gaye died in '84, so he was absolutely around then.
Well, he wasn't alive very long.
All right, let's power through. Let's
power through the gay
Mike
scene.
Ryerson,
I can't get over the whole Marvin Gaye thing now.
Just look up, let's get on what year. Jesus. If you never Googled before.
Mike Ryerson falls asleep in Matt Burke's house. Matt
Burke's
Burke
arms.
starts to feel scared at one point in the night. He walks up the stairs to check on, or not to check on, walks down the hall or whatever.
Doesn't he hear like
hears
a
the window
Yeah.
opening, and he hears Mike inviting someone in. through the window on a second story, and then he hears sucking sounds. And that's the end of the first part of the book.
He hears sucking sounds.
That's the end of the last sentence of like the first part
what he
of the
hears.
book.
Is it your sucking sound?
What's your sucking sound?
Is the sucking sound.
God, he really gets into it. I have a gag reflex. Sorry.
We're only through the first third of this book. There's going to be so many sucking references.
They mentioned it.
I practiced with like grapefruits and shit. So, you know,
so if you eat out ass better. I don't understand the point of the grapefruit analogy. All right. So,
by the way, during all of this, Parkins Gillespie is investigating this entire thing.
He's investigating
he's
Ben,
like, okay,
Straker, and Barlow.
The little boy's gone. Then he comes in when Mike, God damn, I can't keep everyone's fucking names straight. Mike's doing his thing and being dumb and sick and vampire-y.
Also, we should probably mention, I don't know if this is the right order, but it says Danny tries to infect Mark Petrie and fails. So
I
Danny,
believe that's into the second part.
It's in the second part?
Yeah, that's a little bit later.
Second third of the book.
I don't want to, blame anyone.
you go ahead.
I don't want to blame anyone, but I'm looking at an outline someone wrote. And it's just,
dude, I couldn't keep track. There's so
I didn't
much
say your
shit.
name. I didn't say your name.
At least Brad wrote an outline.
That's
We're
true.
all just sitting
That's
here
true.
trying to wing it.
Talking about Matt's sexuality. As in,
Hey.
Matt here. Yeah, I was saying
Oh,
that.
Matt.
You know what? Honestly, I don't think we could do this without an outline, so thank you, Brad. I'm appreciating you writing this.
So yeah, part two. Marcus.
Is that where we are?
Marcus. Everyone's named Mark in my mind.
The Emperor of
Parkins,
Ice Cream
yeah.
is the name of the...
This is what confused me. There are 3 names that start with M that are 4-letter words.
Matt, Mark,
and Mike.
Mike, yeah.
And I kept getting
Dougal
fucking confused.
and Marston. There's so many
Yeah.
names in this
Yeah.
whole book.
That's why I kept, while reading the book, I kept getting confused. I couldn't keep all the names together. Like,
Yeah.
if I could get like some faces thrown in there, it
Marjorie?
would help a little bit.
That's true, Marjorie. Yeah.
Son of a bitch! Stop it! I'm getting confused right now.
Marvin
I was
Gaye.
confused at Mark.
But overall, the second part of the book is about people getting infected.
Yeah, the second part of the book really kind of picks up.
People getting bitten by vampires. One such instance is Danny Glick trying to infect Mark
Yeah.
at his window, which is a pretty pivotal scene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is where we find out that Mark is a badass.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, I think that's the first time you actually see a vampire.
Oh, yeah, the first time
right?
you see a vampire.
Because
yeah.
he's like scratching at his window. He's like, let me in.
Mark's
let me in.
We're getting into the movie a little bit, though. That scene in the movie was great. But
Oh, no, he does that, though.
he does it in the book too, but the scratching in the movie was a very memorable scene. But Mark, if we haven't explained already, Mark is the young 12-year-old kid who just moved to town. He
beat up a bully.
He's
very smart.
Oh, yeah, they
He's
left
very
that out
smart.
in everything. Well, except for
they don't
Richie
say-
Bowden isn't in anything. The bully.
I love that
Yeah.
scene in the book because he beats the shit out of the bully.
Yeah, because he uses his brain. He knows that like he can catch him off guard and fight early because he knows if the fight goes on too long, he'll lose.
Was he new in town? Is that
Yes.
actually a thing?
Yeah,
Okay,
he was new.
I think
His
I
dad had
missed
just
that
moved
part.
in.
Relatively,
and all-
he's a new kid.
Okay,
And so he beats
that's
the bully.
why
He beats this guy who's like twice or 3 times his size up. This bully.
Yeah. So the bully didn't know him.
Yeah.
He just wanted
And
to
the
like.
entire time it's important that Mark uses his analytical skills. He's very well put together, intelligent, and he's rational.
And Mark is the young man who Danny and Ralphie were on their way to see when they were attacked by
So
the vampire.
Danny finally makes it to Mark's house a couple days late and a heartbeat short, but Danny gets there and he's at the window.
Short.
I know.
That was good. I picked up on that.
Danny gets there and I hate you so much. Words. I hate so much the person you choose to be. So Danny's floating at the window. He wants to be coming in, and Mark's like, "Shit, I read stuff. I know what's going on. He's a vampire." And
Yeah,
so
'cause
he's
Mark's,
like,
Mark's into like all the ghouls and
Yeah.
you know
Did you say Googles?
ghouls.
like,
And like all the supernatural
goblins.
and all that, like he knows, like he's in all that.
That's why
kind of
Mark's one of
stuff.
my favorite characters because he's so
He's
much.
us.
Oh,
He's us. He's a 12-year-old who
loves horror.
loves
right?
horror. That's us.
Yeah.
We're 12 at heart.
That's why I was like geeking out a little bit in the remake movie. He was playing with a Cenobite figure.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh my god, it's a Cenobite! It's a Cenobite!
But yeah, going back to Matt was saying, he's into horror, and Danny Glick is knocking on his window. This is the first time you really see, like in the book
vampire,
anyway, you read about a vampire coming to visit somebody. And what is it? He's got a model of a
church or something.
Yeah.
It's like a gravestone or something. I can't
Because he
remember.
plays with models.
It's a crucifix.
Yeah, like
And
he makes
that's
his own
how-
like grave scenes.
What
and all
a
that.
fucking nerd!
And he grabs the
Like-
grabs the crucifix off of his model.
Yeah.
And he drives Danny Glick away.
He's like,
Yeah.
I don't. He makes specific mention because Mark is the first one to realize don't look in their eyes.
yeah.
Like he starts to look away because he realizes they can hypnotize you with their eyes. And so he's like, don't, no. He's like,
These eyes cry every night.
I was going to say, hungry
For you.
eyes.
No,
I feel the magic between you and I.
around this time, this is about the time when the whole thing happens with Mike, right? I can't remember.
It's happening.
No,
It's happening the
everything
same.
with Mike happens
Yeah,
in the
time.
first third of the
Yeah,
book.
Is it the same night?
No, because this is the kid who they just buried, so he could. It's the same night.
Yeah.
Yes. This is the same night that that
Lots
Danny
of
comes.
stuff happens on the same
Danny comes
night.
to
Yeah.
visit because Danny's the one who turns Mike.
They cover like 2.5 months, something like that.
This 12-year-old
But-
boy gets around. He gets around. He spreads his STD because really,
Where's Father Callahan?
vampirism is really a come on. It's
Yeah,
an
where's that
STD.
Catholic priest at?
Yeah,
STD.
seriously. When this kid's just like going around everywhere, like hello.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of sexuality with vampires, obviously, and they kind of mention this with the mom. Remember, he's like Danny's mom.
Which mom?
Danny's mom even says like he comes and he wants to suckle on my teat.
Oh,
Like
that's
when he
right.
was, it was really
Oh,
weird.
Suckle on my
She was kind of hot though.
In the movie, yeah. I don't know
In
how she
the
looks
remake.
book, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Mark doesn't look in his eyes, and he's able to drive him out with the crucifix and tell him to get out, and then he calmly goes to sleep. Like he's like, yeah, fuck this, it's whatever. It's a Tuesday, vampires are a thing. I'm gonna get some sleep. Fuck it, it's like 2 a.m. What am I gonna do?
Yeah.
But close to the same time, if not at the same time, Ben and Matt, Ben Mears and Matt Burke are becoming better friends. Ben is introducing Susan, or not introducing, because Matt Burke had Susan in class, but I mean, like, they're all getting together, they're talking about all this stuff, and at some point, Matt and Susan are in the house, and
Well, we gotta talk about Ben. First off, Mike dies. That's kind of important, I suppose. We didn't talk about Mike dying.
I thought, because we didn't talk about Mike.
Yeah, he's alone by himself.
With the sucking, at the end of the third book, the sucking sounds. Mike wakes up the next morning, calls Ben, and
Hold
Mike's,
on.
Mike's
Was
dead.
it like
Yeah, it's
Is,
like
is
that.
that how? Okay.
So Matt goes upstairs and realizes,
It's
oh
important.
shit, he's dead or whatever. He thinks he's dead. He doesn't really go in, but he sees like he's not moving. He calls Ben and tells him bring a crucifix
Before the cops,
before the cops. Yeah,
he's like Ben.
and so real quick,
Ben will know what to do.
Matt knows what's up.
yeah.
Since he just met Ben would know what to do, right?
Well, I'll summarize this in 10 seconds. Ben comes over with the crucifix. He's all like, "What happened?" And Matt's like, "I killed a man." Well, I don't know. I slept with him. I just can't.
Good
stop. I
10-second
I can't.
summary. I thought
Okay.
I was really thinking you were going to summarize this. In
I
10
will.
seconds.
Okay, so he comes over, and Matt's like, Ben, I think something's going on. Mike's upstairs. He came over. He was sick. I had him come over to watch him sleep and watch him, his naked body glisten in the sun.
Oh my
and,
god, we can't avoid the.
It's sexually charged.
It's
I can't
very-
help it. So Ben's like, what's going on? He goes upstairs and they check his pulse and his hand falls out and it's like stiff and he's obviously dead or he's not alive.
done for.
And so Matt's like, oh, it's a vampire. I
Wait,
know it.
he's stiff or his arm's stiff?
BJ's really inappropriate.
Oh, that's the line.
That's the line. Trying to talk about novel here. Jeez. Sexuality is not your punchline, man.
This is the literary society,
Yeah,
Brad.
I'm trying to
Keep it
prove.
classy.
Long story short,
Was it bigger than Bill Goldberg's cock? I just want to know.
Getting off the rails.
Long story short, they take Mike Ryerson away. Ben, Susan, and Matt are talking about it that night. Ben leaves to go check something out. I forget what. And it's Matt and Susan there. Matt is explaining the whole situation to Susan. And then all of a sudden they feel the evil from upstairs.
Yeah.
Matt goes upstairs to check, and Mike Ryerson's sitting there. And Susan is downstairs trying to like play it cool or whatever. Like
She's supposed to be pretending to have a conversation with Matt.
Pretending to have a conversation. Mike Ryerson's sitting there, and he comes at Mark.
Well, Matt's like hearing the noises upstairs, and then he's like, "Well, maybe it's just the house creaking." Well, I know my own house.
Yeah, I know my own
he's
house.
so confident.
Yeah.
Like I know my own house.
But Matt Burke is able to fend off the Mike Ryerson now vampire with a crucifix, and
He
He
has a
fends
heart
off his
attack.
sexual advances.
but he has a heart attack in the process because there's so much fear. The
Yeah.
vampires are able to induce fear in people
And like hypnotize you, and
Yeah.
like you get a sense of dread, and it smells. I don't know. they
All you
always
got to
let
do is
smell.
apparently hold out a crucifix, but they're still
Yeah.
really scary.
Well, he says that. What does they say? Mike says before he leaves, "I'll see you dead, teacher," or something like that.
something
Yeah.
like that.
And then he's like, "Oh, that's so scary! It be dead, heart," and then he falls.
Has a heart attack. Susan comes, finds him, but sees Mike's class ring and puts two and two together, and is like, "Oh, apparently Mike was here and he's a vampire." And now, I believe everything.
I
I
believe
forgot
everything.
about the ring.
The ring.
Yeah.
The one ring rule them all. So yeah. Now we're finally starting to get to the meat where vampires are actually a thing, and we're in like page 500 of the book.
Yeah,
600.
people finally start to realize.
Takes a while. Meanwhile, what's going to happen so Ben and Susan have been getting kind of hot and heavy, very much so. And
Just recently.
remember how I said that Susan's unattached? Well, she's not. She was dating Floyd Tibbetts.
Floyd
Tibbetts.
Not Ned Tibbetts.
Like the movie would have you believe. So Floyd is upset, obviously, because Ben's been shtucking his girl, or as he sees his girl. I mean, they're kind of shtucking.
Wow.
They're kind of done, They're kind of like, she's been cold on him. She says for like a couple months now or whatever. But instead of breaking it off with him, she shtucks Ben, and then it's like, yeah, this one's a better lay. I'm going to break up with Ned.
That's
Or
exactly
Floyd.
what she says. Who's better at sex? I'm going to go with that guy.
I'm gonna go with the famous writer.
Yeah, the one that has money.
I bet Stephen King has a
better.
bumper sticker that says "Writers do it better" or something like that.
And then it says writers shtook it better.
So anyway, it's important to know this because Ben is just like minding his own business, going to his car or whatever, and all of a sudden you see Floyd kind of out of it, dressed in, like, wrapped all up or whatever.
He's completely covered. He's got like a hoodie and like scarves and shit.
Yeah.
like hats.
He's got a raincoat or something on.
Yeah.
Like,
And he's got like a hat on. and, like, a
clearly trying to
visor.
avoid the sun.
Yeah. And he
What?
looks out of it. Like
Why
they say
would
his
he
eyes
do
are glassy, and what happens is he just like starts beating the shit out of Ben. And you assume it's a lover's spat, or
Who wouldn't? I mean,
or a
at
lover's
this
spat.
point, I don't really care about Ben.
We'll talk about our favorite characters at the end of the discussing the novel, because I think none of us are going to say Ben. Not that he's a bad character; he's just a boring character.
Yeah.
He's too cliche of a favorite character.
Yeah,
He's
He's
a
a great
writer.
Not a cliche of a favorite character. He's just a cliche.
a main character.
It's like saying Frodo's your
I don't
favorite
know.
character in Lord of the Rings. Like,
He's not my
he's a
favorite.
great
What?
character,
No,
but
he's
he's
not my
not-
favorite character.
Yeah, he
What?
is. Brad,
it's
you
nobody's favorite character because he's too
Well,
cliche of a favorite
well,
character.
any dwarf. Those are my favorite characters. They're awesome.
well, Frodo's a dwarf.
We can't get too off topic. We got a lot of books to go through here.
Well, he is a hobbit, sir.
So yeah, Ben gets his ass kicked, and that's important because he's going to go to the hospital, the same hospital where Matt is.
Matt is because he had a heart attack.
And Jimmy Cody's the doctor.
Yes, and finally going to introduce Jimmy Cody, who's a
Jimmy
very,
Cody,
very important
who was
person.
the person who checked out Mike Ryerson, who was checking out the Glick boys. He's the doctor who's been a small character through the whole book.
Yeah.
And now he's about to become
The
the
doctor.
man.
Yeah, he's really fully introduced when Matt says when he's having his heart attack. He tells Susan, "In my like address book, Jimmy Cody is my doctor, or whatever. Call him."
Yeah.
So we introduce
Two
it.
first names. Sorry, I didn't mean to spit all over
Jimmy.
the place.
Yeah, you
But
cannot
did.
trust
But
those
you
kind of
did spit
people.
all over the place.
You cannot trust
Sorry,
people
we'll
with
take
two
that
first
back.
names.
I'm covered in spit now. Can't see, I'm just dripping.
Dude, it's like Matt and I at the Metallica concert. It was amazing.
No one cares about Metallica.
Covered in it.
So yeah, everyone's at the hospital now because shit happened. Ben got his ass kicked. Couldn't even really fight back. I mean, come on, what a win.
Yeah, he's a pussy writer.
Yeah, seriously, writers can't fight.
He didn't. Like, he seriously, like, he went down quick.
Well, they mentioned that. They mentioned several times in the book. Stephen King mentions how effeminate Ben kind of looks in a way. Like he's like Ben's basically describes a young himself. If you haven't noticed, if you ever seen Stephen King when he's young, Ben's supposed to look just like Stephen King.
Yeah.
Never seen him. I don't know.
You ever seen Stephen King?
Not I've never looked up young pictures of Stephen King naked. I mean,
naked. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Naked?
You have to walk
Where
around
did this
naked.
come
I
from,
mean, you
Brad?
can't just-
what?
Yeah.
Freudian's penis.
What?
But anyway, they're in the hospital. This is where the band gets together, basically. Other than Father Callahan,
Dude,
we haven't even mentioned.
I know.
yet.
We just saw them last night. The band, Metallica. They're
Oh
great.
my god, no one likes Metallica.
We've got Jimmy Cody, we've got Susan, we've got Mark, we've got Ben, and all we need
Father
is Father
Callahan.
Callahan to get together.
So I think is it Matt that brings up that he tells Susan to get holy water or something from him?
Yeah, Matt.
Yes.
He keeps bringing up the crucifix.
He
He's
wants
like,
the crucifix.
We need religious things involved.
Susan's still kind of lukewarm on it. Like she knows that something's going on, but she's still not 100% on board with the vampire theory.
I love how in this outline that Brad wrote, he says Father Callahan gets involved with Matt about the vampire situation.
Oh, did I misspell
No
things?
details at all. It misspells Callahan.
So,
Whoops.
don't correct it.
I still misspelled it.
I still appreciate you putting it together, Brad.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I don't. It really ruined everything. So Father Callahan. No, so they need holy water. What are you doing? What are you doing?
He's writing in
I'm
the
changing
Google
the
Doc.
outline.
Don't let him distract you.
No.
You gotta get through this.
What? I'm not doing anything. Just keep going.
I refuse.
Do your thing.
No, I'm doing it.
I definitely didn't write anything to distract you.
This is all edited
I forget where we were.
No, it's not. All right, so she's getting. She goes visits Father Callahan. I was like Callahan. Goes and visits him.
Hold on, did we mention that he's like a raging alcoholic?
I was about to.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Oh, he's a raging alcoholic.
Okay,
Go on.
there
He's
you go.
Irish. No, he loves Grandpa's old cough medicine, if you know what I mean.
He's a priest. He was a priest at the funeral for
Danny
Glick.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of go in a little bit of his detail. You don't even know so much about him, although his faith lately has been kind of, I wouldn't say wavering, but he's definitely had questions about his faith and his role.
His faith at this point is about a meh out of 10.
It really
They
is.
say there's three priests in the Salem's Lot, and he's the favorite of the town.
Yeah.
Because he's not too crazy and he's not too like long-winded.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, isn't there like an older priest
Yeah.
that he's like following or something like that?
No, that's an.
That's another book.
No, it's not another book. That's there's another priest who
I
thinks
can't
dead,
remember.
like he was his mentor or whatever.
Okay,
He
yeah,
thinks he sees
that's
him.
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Again, it's been like 3 months since I read the book.
So they kind of talked to Father Callahan.
No, it's 3
Oh, no,
months.
Susan never even.
It has now been 3 months,
3 months.
since Brad read this book.
It's going to be a year by the time we're done. Susan is too much of a wuss, or she's too self-conscious to go visit Father Callahan.
Self-confident.
Confident, conscious. Like she goes, I don't want to sound like a raving lunatic. I'm not going to visit Father Callahan. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Marston house and see what's going on, because everyone keeps saying the Marston house is behind all this. So she goes and buys a crucifix from like a dollar store or whatever. Finds like a broken wooden fence and like grabs it as like a plank, and she's like, I'm going to take care of biz.
And this was really, if I may say, a very disappointing. I was like, Stephen King, come on, man. Like, really, like, why are you having this character who's been a super important part of the plot? Like, you've gotten us to like her a lot. She's your only lead woman in this book.
Yeah.
Why are you suddenly having her like make this stupid decision of
To go
just
to the
like
house
grabbing
by
a
herself?
fence post
Yeah.
because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this fence post is a stake, and go fight the main vampire all by yourself? Like, why? This just seems like a dumb character.
Well, she got backup in the form of a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah.
But she didn't even know he was there,
Yeah.
though. Like, luckily, he shows up, but, I mean, and even still, like, he's the one who gets away.
Luckily, the 12-year-old boy shows up to save her. Like,
How can you avoid sentences like that when you're talking about this book? There's, like, so many times when you're like,
Yeah.
oh, the 57-year-old man invited the 27-year-old home, and there was nothing weird
It
about
all
it.
sounds questionable when you say
Well,
that
I mean,
loud.
if you read any of Stephen King's works, there's some pretty saucy
that is a
things.
good point. Like, she's just like, oh, I'm going to go do this thing.
It was a very weird character decision.
Yes.
But Susan decides to to go take on the vampires in the Marston house herself. She's like
Barlow and Straker.
She's like, no talking. I'm going to go.
Mark Petrie does the same thing.
Yeah, but he's a 12-year-old boy.
He's a 12-year-old boy, and he's like, he's a huge horror fan. He's like, oh, I got to do this thing.
No, he mentions he's not going to go in. He's just what he's doing is he's staking out the house.
Yeah.
He only goes in because he realizes the dumb bitch, as he puts it. I don't know exactly how he puts it. But he goes, that dumb bitch is going to ruin everything. So he has to go and go, hey, what are you doing? Like he goes and he realizes she's going to go in by herself. And so he realizes, well, he might as well join forces with her. But he was just staking it out. He wasn't going by himself. He was just trying to figure out, like, he's watching Straker and see his schedule.
I think there's actually a part where he's like, that's what you brought? And he looks at the fence post and he laughs. He's like, you brought a fence post?
Yeah.
Like, really? But,
So they break in and everything goes well.
I wish.
Kill the vampires?
Yeah, they kill the vampires. That's the end.
Yeah, that's the end.
Susan's like, I'm going to go in here, nothing bad. And then all of a sudden, Straker's back.
Straker's back.
Who's not a vampire. They say he's like a...
He's the handmaiden of the vampires. He's their human...
What is he, though?
They give a word.
He's not a vampire.
Oh my god, what is it called when he controls someone?
He's the human...
he's just being controlled?
Yeah, well, no, he's not being controlled. What do they call it? Like, I can't remember what it's called. Not proxy. Something like that.
The human catalyst?
What does he benefit from it? Like, from he's a servant.
Well,
basically.
he has
a vampire just can't walk into Larry Crockett's place and be like, I want to rent this house.
Yeah, he's out in the day. Well, he gets the powers of a vampire, kind of, because he's like very charming. He's super strong. They mentioned that he's able to lift up 400 pounds like it's nothing. Remember, like he lifts up the furniture. Yeah, he lifts up the furniture. He goes to pick up the furniture, or whatever, and the meats and all that. And he picks up everything. He's able to like haul it all away like it's nothing. Like they go, it looks like he's like floating. Like it doesn't weigh a thing.
Yeah. Anyway, we need to speed this up. Susan gets captured by the vampires. Mark gets captured by Straker. Like they're in the house. Susan is taken away. Mark, we hear more about his story. He gets tied up by Straker in one of the upper rooms. Yeah. And he Houdinis his way out of that shit. Like, he literally Houdinis his way out of it.
Yeah, he remembers reading about Houdini, who said, like, to, loosen up all your body.
When you're getting tied up.
Harry Houdini.
No, Vincent Houdini.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for coming up with something funny to say to that, because I had no idea. I was like, yes, Harry Houdini. He says, he read about Harry Houdini and said, when you're getting tied up, you got to flex all your muscles and breathe in as much as you can. Yeah. Because then, once everybody's gone, you can release everything and your bowels will explode.
Pretty much. Your bowels, you just use the lube, as he says.
No. But you can unclench your muscles, release the breath, and you'll have a lot more space to wriggle out of the ropes.
You'll have a lot more slack.
Rob Riggle?
Rob Riggle, yeah.
You said wriggle.
Rigmarole. So he's able to get free, and he's like, peace out. I'll come back for you, Susan. He runs out.
No, he doesn't run out. He waits behind the door.
Oh, for Straker.
Yeah.
And Straker comes up the stairs, and Mark grabs a bed leg, right? Because the bed is made of wrought iron or whatever. Yeah. He takes the leg. Straker comes in, bashes him over the head. Straker's not dead yet. Bashes him again, and Straker's out of the picture as far as the book goes.
Familiar.
Mark runs out of the house.
That's what he is. He's a familiar. That's the word they use. I just found out. Yeah.
Straker's for real?
Yeah. Straker's is familiar. Yeah. So he's like kind of being controlled.
I never thought of a human as being a familiar.
No, it's what the novel says.
Isn't that kind of what it's supposed to be? It's supposed to be like
an animal. Yeah, or any object can be any living thing can be a familiar. So I guess kind of how vampires treat him. He kind of treats him like a pet, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So his job is to do all this stuff during the day.
Now here's what I'm thinking. For the rest of the book, me and you say nothing, and these two describe it. You guys go.
You guys are doing good. The thing with the thing.
Very good.
I gotta pee. Oh, wow.
Look at the time. Oh, yeah, man. Jesus.
No, honestly,
I'll do my impression of Brad.
It's been like 5 months since I read the book. So
okay, it's Brad here. So anyway.
Brad is Cookie Monster?
Yeah. Anyway, so Ben realizes Susan's nowhere to be found, and Ben's like, I should probably go see what Matt's up to. And Matt's like, I sent Susan to Father Callahan. And so
in the book.
You were spiking hard on them.
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's how Cookie Monsters. That's how you sound.
It's all right. It's all right. We've got the ability to tweak everybody's peaks these days.
No, we don't. I've not peaked yet.
Also, just so we all are clear, I can edit all of this out. If we're not going on SoundCloud anymore, I can edit all of this out, so it's no big deal.
no, we're not editing anything. We're not
we
even
don't
going to edit the
We're
fact
raw.
that we're not
You're
editing.
not the one
raw.
editing, so I can
We're
edit whatever
raw.
I want.
We're raw here,
We like
boys.
to raw dog all of our episodes.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about the part
Consequences be
where
damned.
Susan gets captured and Mark is getting out, is that they go through in the book at least different time periods of what's happening there. So
Yeah.
there's a part with Mark in the hospital, or I'm sorry,
Matt.
So many M names.
Yeah.
There's Matt in the hospital. There's Ben, and all this stuff. They keep saying this was happening at the same time
Yeah.
Susan was getting captured, but you never actually read about Susan getting captured and
right.
like turning into a vampire.
Yeah.
Susan is turned into a vampire.
Yeah,
That's the last we
she
hear about
just
Susan.
disappears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
So, Mark's like, I'm going to save you, Susan. And he goes, it's getting kind of late. The sun's about to set.
Yeah.
I'll come back for you. And he
You
runs,
sons of bitches!
and he runs away. Well, to find help. But, that's not going to help. So, because I think doesn't Straker speak to him or whatever? He goes, yes, come on down or something like that. Because the sun had just set when he was like halfway down the stairs or something like that.
Oh yeah,
He's like
to Mark.
Yeah, he's like
to
lulling
Mark.
him down.
Yeah.
So anyway, Mark runs away. While this is happening, Matt and Jim, Cody, and Ben are talking, and they're going to visit Father Callahan. Or no, they're talking about they need to prove because Danny's mom had just died of the same thing, and so they want to prove they want to prove their theory.
Yes.
So they're going to go to the funeral home and wait by her until sundown to see if she rises as a vampire. That's what they're going to do to prove if vampires exist, and so that's what they go do.
Right. Well, and in investigating, or do we get to where they're sitting with Mrs. Glick?
That's what we're talking about now.
Okay,
Yeah. They're going to the funeral home to sit with her to see.
Yes.
So they're there. They're sitting. They
Ben and Jimmy Cody are waiting until dusk to see if Mrs. Glick comes back to life.
Yeah.
And she does.
And Ben tapes two those
the tongue depressors.
tongue depressors together to look like a crucifix.
Look like a crucifix because apparently
Apparently that's all you need to find out vampires.
Yeah.
Apparently,
it's so easy.
You can do it with your fingers,
Yeah.
and then you're good. I mean, that's it.
So calm down, everybody.
Yeah.
Vampires aren't that big a deal.
Yeah. I mean, jeez.
But,
Simple as that.
Mrs. Glick does come back to life, and somehow, even though they made the crucifixes, bites Jimmy Cody.
Yeah.
And then Ben gets her off of him. Ben gets her off, and saves Jimmy Cody. Actually, this was a weird part of the book because they say he presses the crucifix
And
into
goes
her,
through her
and then
buttock.
she just evaporates into the walls.
Yeah.
So I'm like, is Mrs. Glick dead? Is she just run away?
Do we-
Vampires can go through walls?
Do we see her again?
No.
I don't think so.
No,
No.
she doesn't come back.
So maybe that just killed her. I don't know.
Maybe it killed her.
Maybe
Maybe
that's-
she's stuck in
Because
the
the
wall.
crucifix glows. So anyway.
Well, maybe that's his
she's
interpretation
stuck in
of
the
how
wall.
vampires die.
Yeah.
So
they
anyway,
turn-
now they know vampires are a thing. I'm going to fly through this. They know vampires are a thing. He goes over to Jimmy Cody, who's bit, and they put holy water on him and put the cross or crucifix around
He
it.
sucks the poison out like a
Yeah.
snake bite. No,
Like a
I'm just
snake
kidding.
bite.
He doesn't do that.
He sucks. He gets priapism. Jimmy Cody. If you know what that is, look it up. It's hot. And so in order to get rid of the priapism, he has to suck off the priapist part. I'm not going to say it because I'm not allowed to, apparently. It's frowned upon. So anyway,
Well, I want to know.
priapism is where you have an uncontrolled boner.
Oh.
Due to a spinal injury, usually.
Oh.
So,
Just spinal?
yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So that's all you need in bed, man. You need a spine injury. So, anyway, all this is going on. Meanwhile, Matt's doing research.
Matt's doing research. We kind of glossed over Father Callahan. I know we've said his name a couple times. Father Callahan has now become part of the group. He's this priest who's a drunk, but he's also the most down to earth person.
Yeah.
And he kind of starts to believe them. He
Says he's seen weird things.
things around town, and he goes with them. He's at the hospital with all of them after Susan gets.
I feel like
gets
he's
captured.
he's a major character that isn't mentioned enough. Like it sounds kind of weird because he's got his own chapter.
Well, his scene is very important. That's why.
Yeah. He's a major character,
Yeah.
and he's got his own chapter, like I said. But at the same time, there's Matt. I feel like is a bigger character than Callahan.
Well, yeah.
But at the same time,
I would say
Callahan has like a bigger role, like with some of the shit that happens.
Well, yeah, because Matt's kind of kind of said, the man in the chair. His job is not to necessarily be on the front lines. His job is to coordinate.
Exactly.
So
Matt kind of like he's like, oh hey, this shit's going on. He's like the guy that's like,
So they go to
the
Mark,
4 dudes. Mark Jimmy,
comes in and
Father
tells
Callahan,
them that
and
Susan's
Ben.
been captured. So they go to the Marston house.
Time to put a stake through Susan's heart.
Yeah, during the day. So they go, okay, we'll go now. We're gonna go. So they go to the house. They're all ready, and they find a letter.
Yeah,
they don't.
Letter.
They don't feel an evil presence.
Letters ever.
They don't feel an evil presence or anything. They find a letter. And they also find Straker, who Mark beat the shit out of, hanging upside down and like drained of all blood.
Yep.
And
wonder who drunk his blood.
Yeah,
Brad.
Yeah, Brad.
It was me.
So they read the letter, and the letter's kind of taunting them, saying, "Do you really think I'd be stupid enough to sleep here? Like, for centuries, people have tried to kill me." And he's like naming him by names, like he knows who's all involved and all this. He goes, "Father Callahan, like your faith is pathetic," and
he gets really cocky there. Really, really cocky, because that's like when you really hear about from Barlow.
Yeah, it's like the first time you hear officially from Barlow.
And he's like, yeah, I am the shit. You're not going to find me. You're not going to get me.
And then he taunts them and says, I'm not here, but I know where your loved ones live. Like, I'd be ashamed if something happened to like your parents or something like that, speaking to Mark. And then he goes, but I didn't leave you empty-handed. There's a gift waiting for you down in the basement.
That's the thing I love about Barlow in the book, is that as far as Stephen King books go, the bad guy is always like a character. And I know we're going to get into the movie, but in the 1979 movie, it was just a Nosferatu vampire,
which is not who he is.
Hated that. I hated that so much.
Book,
he was like dark.
He was a person.
Yeah, he had dark hair.
He's very dark and stuff.
A vampire is supposed to be a person. He's supposed to be manipulative, and they just portrayed him in the old movie as, like you said, Nosferatu.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I'm a vampire. I show up every once in a while and just do shit. But no, they're supposed to be. They mention it in the book, like, don't look him in the eyes. Don't, you know. And
they mention that he looks like, kind of. They say he's young, he has dark hair. They don't mention him directly, but they say you see Susan with him when they attack the other police officer.
Do they mention? Am I thinking of something else? Do they mention he keeps getting younger the more?
They don't mention that at all, really.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
No, you're completely wrong, Brad. They don't mention that at all.
Okay, I don't know. So, I'm thinking of something else then.
So they go downstairs to see what the gift is.
Thinking of yourself.
And the present is
Harry Potter or something.
One Susan B. Anthony.
Oh,
Susan B. Anthony Norton.
She was on a cool coin.
Yeah. Here's kind of my letdown, and the movie's kind of trying to alleviate this, but it's kind of like he doesn't even talk to Susan. He just he's like all crying. Ben knows he has to do it, but he doesn't want to cry. But like, no point do you really see Susan after she's been turned. Not really. You know, he doesn't talk to her. You see her kind of go to Mark.
Yes.
She does go to Mark and says, "I'll kiss you all over like your mom never did," or something like that. It's very sexual, very sexual.
Just like a Stephen King book.
Mark's like boing yoing. He goes, "Little Mark really kind of wants to let you in, Susan."
Why go there? I'll kiss you all over like your mom never did. Yeah. Like, wow.
Yeah. So anyway, they're there. Susan's there. You don't really see. There's no really interaction between Ben and Susan after that. Like, she's just asleep, and he eventually, after some prodding, kills her. Like, he sticks the stake in her.
After some prodding?
Yeah, because he doesn't want to. Like, they go, do it.
After some prodding.
They go, do it, you pussy. He goes,
When you say that, makes me think of, like, he's just got a stick, and he's like, wake up,
her.
wake up. He's just, like, poking her.
It wasn't a stake, it was just like a twig. Like, hey.
Damn it,
Want to go poke a dead body?
So anyway, she's dead. There's still like a third of the book left, and it's kind of like, you know, she's dead. It's not a huge. I don't know. Like, to me, it doesn't seem like a big deal. He's like, he swears he'll kill him. That's it. It kind of seems a little anticlimactic.
I mean,
major characters dead.
They really made you believe in the love story of Ben and Susan.
That's true, and they did.
And then all of a sudden, they made Susan make this stupid decision, and she goes in right into the heart of the vampire, and then she gets captured, obviously, and then. I mean, nothing against anybody. It's not a woman or man thing. It's like, why would anybody just try to go in alone against this obviously vampire? Like, we have a team here, Susan.
I see what you're
saying. Why are you going away?
Why do women do stupid things? Is what you're saying.
It's
it's fun to make you.
It seemed to me, and I said this to you guys last week. why? What happened to Stephen King? What happened to you between Carrie with all these high profile female characters, and then all of a sudden there's this book that has all these male characters, and one female character just makes the dumbest decision ever.
Oh no, there's another female character.
Who broke your heart?
Sawyer. Remember, she claimed someone raped her. Sawyer, Bonnie Sawyer.
Yeah.
Bonnie Sawyer.
Bonnie Sawyer.
Bonnie Sawyer.
Oh yeah.
She's hot. She's not important enough to mention.
We really haven't even been able to talk about all that stuff.
There's a lot of us. We're just kind of getting the meat of it.
No, honestly, okay. Well, when it comes to Carrie, though, I mean, that was a strong female lead right there.
Strong female lead.
Well, yeah,
so what
she
happened
murders
to
the
Stephen
entire
King
town.
between him writing that and writing this? That is like.
I don't know. I thought
he
Carrie
started being like, women are dumb.
I'm not surprised what happened with Carrie. She had powers. She got bullied, and she's just like, I can't take it anymore. And she.
That being said, I mean, I just wish Susan had a better character arc, because it seemed like
she kind of was like to be thrown away, to be sacrificed, or whatever.
Honestly,
it seemed like he took that character and was like, okay, we're done with you.
Yeah,
Well,
I have nothing else I can add to her. So
going back to what Zach said, the story, the main character was the town.
yeah,
So when it comes to like Ben and Susan, I felt like both of them were just kind of
right.
Like the town was.
I didn't care for either of them that much, really. No.
Yeah, the town was the heart of the book.
Yeah.
That's where it all was.
So now that Susan's out, they realize, oh shit, he kind of threatened Mark's parents. So the smart thing to do is, instead of stay together as a united front against Barlow, let's separate.
Yeah,
So
they Scooby-Dooed it.
yeah.
They totally Scooby-Dooed
Father
it.
Callahan and Mark decide to go to Mark's parents
Part ways.
to make sure that they're okay, and then Jimmy Cody, the doctor, and Ben Mears, the writer, goes back to Matt, who's still in the hospital due to his heart attack.
Van Helsing's in the hospital.
Yeah. And so they go, and then when they get back, Van Helsing, a.k.a. Matt's like, you fucking idiots. Are you retarded? And they go, what? That's a hard R, Matt. What are you doing?
You're pulling a dud right now.
You totally dudded it.
You guys should have stayed together.
Yeah, you should have stayed together. This is exactly what Barlow wants. He wants to separate you. That's why he wrote the letter. He specifically did that to separate you. So they go to call Mark's house, and what happens?
Line's dead.
Line's dead. Shift to Mark and Father Callahan. Quite possibly one of the most integral. It's pronounced integer.
But this is my favorite scene in the book, and possibly one of the most symbolic scenes in any of it.
It's important for
I like
several
to
reasons.
say pivotal.
I like to say integral.
I like to say pivotal. Okay, pivot!
It's got a little
Destroy
bit of
pivots right
it's got
here.
a little bit of humor in its irony. It's got
You see Barlow show off his power.
Barlow shows off his power. They're talking. Father Callahan and Mark are talking to Mark's parents about what's going on, and up to this point, they've kept saying that no one in town is going to believe us, and yet everybody who they've talked to, as far as the characters, believed him. It's like Matt's believed him, Father Callahan's believed him, like everybody. And at this point in the book, I was like, why are you guys so afraid of everybody believing you? Like, people obviously believe you. But they're talking to Mark's parents, and Mark's parents are totally in denial. They're like, this is just made-up bullcrap. Boom! All of a sudden, the power goes out, windows crash in, and Barlow enters the house.
Killing.
And kills Mark's parents.
Like
just
in a
crushes
second,
their heads
before they can
together.
do anything. He knocks them like Three Stooges. Boom!
Yeah,
Just like crushes their heads together.
Crushes the heads together.
Can we mention the fact that the parents are upset at the fact they're not questioning why a priest is hanging around their kid?
This was 75. This was not 2019.
Shit, didn't even think about
He's
that.
like, your son and I just penetrated Susan Norton.
And Father Callahan never penetrated anybody in this book.
That's a shame. I like Father Callahan for this scene, really.
No, he was a good guy.
Yeah, we're going to see why what his fatal flaw was.
He was a raging alcoholic, but
he was an altruistic character for sure. He Barlow grabs Mark and has he's about to kill him. Father Callahan, just let me just burp right in the middle of that. Father Callahan's the crucifix, and Straker's there, and he's like, you throw away your crucifix and we'll give you the boy. And he's like, you think I'll trust a vampire? You give the boy first.
He goes, was it your faith versus mine?
Your faith versus mine.
Yeah, this is where Callahan really questions his own faith.
Yeah, this is the pivotal moment for Callahan.
Because he tells him to throw his crucifix and he'll let the boy go. And he goes, how do I know you keep your word? What does Barlow do?
Yeah, he lets the boy go. He lets Mark go. Mark says, I'm going to kill you to Barlow as he leaves.
Spits on his face.
And runs away.
He spits on him. That's
he spits him on his way out.
Barlow says, okay,
kill
Father, now you throw away your crucifix. And Father Callahan doesn't have the courage to throw away the crucifix. He says,
trust his own
this
faith.
This is my only protection. I can't just throw it away. And the fact that he loses faith in the crucifix
has been glowing, by the way.
Away.
It glows it normally glows, and all of a sudden it starts to go dim.
Yeah, it starts to go dim, and he doesn't throw it away because he thinks it's his only protection. And then Barlow he rips off the arms of the crucifix, and
he tells him, if you had just thrown it away, you might have been able to win.
I wouldn't have been able to touch you or whatever.
Because he didn't have enough faith in God.
Yeah.
Because he thought the crucifix is the only way. He knew his faith wouldn't be strong enough.
Such a great scene.
Yeah, he knew his faith wouldn't be strong enough, so his faith faltered.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite scene.
It was really good. And so Father Callahan's faith has faltered. The crucifix no longer protects him. And Barlow has him drink his sperm. Barlow has him drink his blood. He wants to taint the father, which is kind of taint him with his sperm and blood. Yeah. Has him drink from like a gash. He gashes him, has him drink, and lets him go.
This part I forgot about.
He lets Father Callahan go after drinking the blood. Yeah. He's done with him. He goes and he goes out. He goes on his merry way. And this is why it's so great, because Callahan has now been tainted. He goes to this one place he knows where he's always been. He can always go when he's down. He goes back to the church, and he's walking up to the church. And what happens? Like it glows and like it blasts him flying back.
Yeah, he can't get in.
He can't get in the church, and he realizes that he's no longer clean in God's eyes. Like he's been tainted, and so he's like, fuck this shit, I'm out of here. And he leaves town on the bus.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
He's gone, yeah.
His faith is crushed. Like he's a crushed
fact.
man. Like he no longer cares. He no longer has the will to live. He just leaves.
Fun fact, that actually is the same thing that happens when I try to enter a church.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Just like
my hand burns a little bit when I touch the doors. I don't know. It's weird.
Power of Christ compel you.
See, Father Callahan didn't choose a specific destination. He's like, what's your next one out?
Like,
I'll take it.
New York?
He got a bus ticket, didn't he? He's just like, get me out of here.
Yeah, he's like, I'll go anywhere.
And like the person's all weirded out, too, because they know Father Callahan. They're all weirded out.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, that was my favorite scene. Anyway, it was great being here, guys. I'll see you later. I blew my wad.
No, that was a huge scene.
So Callahan's out. So we've lost
scene.
Callahan. We've lost Susan. Mark's parents are dead. So just Mark, Ben, Matt, and Jim Cody. Except for while this is happening, because Jimmy Cody and Ben are leaving to go, find out what happened. Matt's like in the hospital, and all of a sudden, he's like talking to some guy. He doesn't even remember his name. It's like a thing. It's like a former student. They're talking, and he just has another heart attack. Yeah, and he dies. Like nothing big. Like
I forgot about that too.
Yeah, it's a shitty
He has
way.
another heart attack and dies.
Yeah, in the middle of the hospital.
Hospital.
He just dies.
This is my
God, I loved Matt. He was great.
This is my question, Matt. Did you feel a certain connection to Matt because you guys have the same name?
I did. I feel like Stephen King. I was actually alive during that time.
1979. He was writing about you.
Yeah, he was writing about me. Stephen King and I were just, really close.
I really felt an affinity towards Susan for myself. Like we had a lot in common. For Brad, I always thought Brad probably had an affinity toward Dud.
The junkyard.
Gotta shoot those rats, man. Like they're all over the place.
So this is like the last hurrah. So all that's left is Jimmy Cody.
We're well into the third. The third.
Oh, we're at the end.
Yeah, Jimmy Cody.
This is the last hoorah.
Yeah, Jimmy Cody, Ben, and Mark are the only ones left. And they try to figure out, okay, can we figure out where's Straker? Where's Straker at? Where's Straker?
They're trying to figure out the note that they got.
They got the note.
Letter.
Well, they asked Mark if he can remember anything. He remembers like Straker having chalk on him, like blue chalk.
Yeah.
And at first they think, chalk? How do you say it?
Chalk.
I'm choking on all this caulk.
How do you pronounce it? Chack.
Yeah. So they get this chalk.
Bastin.
Yeah, Bastin.
It's chalk.
Because the blue chalk was underneath.
Chalk.
It sounds weird does it not sound weird when he says
The blue chalk was underneath Straker's fingernails, right?
That sounds weird when he says it.
That's the way to say it. You say it.
Chalk.
You guys really can't say the word chalk?
Chalk.
You're saying CHALK.
Yeah.
Chalk. It's chalk, like chick chalk. Tick chalk.
Chalk.
But it was underneath Straker's fingernails. And I feel like I remember reading in the book that when Mark had Barlow's hands on his neck, he saw the chalk.
Yeah.
The chalk.
Chalk.
on his fingertips as well.
Yeah, and so they assume it's okay. It must be the school, right? They think it's this abandoned school where the second floor is abandoned.
Which doesn't make sense because schools use dry erase boards.
Well, yes, in 1979
They use smart boards.
1975 they used.
Oh yeah, now they use smartboard. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Grandpa.
Oh, the future.
Yeah, why don't you ask a teacher?
Ton of times here.
I can tell you what they
I had
use.
one teacher that used a smartboard.
Here's what I use. I use chalk on my smartboard. Doesn't work out so well.
You use chalk or
Chalk.
Chalk.
It's chalky.
You could go on for that forever.
A lot, Jack.
Okay, in the comments below, how do you pronounce chalk?
Yeah, type it out.
Type it out so I know. Is it chalk, or chalk?
Chalk.
They go to Mark's house. This is Jimmy, Cody, and Ben, and Mark.
Mark sits
Because
outside,
everybody
though.
else is dead now.
Yeah, Mark's like, I can't go in, my parents are dead.
Matt's dead.
Yeah.
They don't know Matt's
Everyone's
We don't
dead.
know Matt's dead, but he's
Everyone's dead.
Yeah.
Susan's gone. It's just those three. And they go to Mark's house. Mark doesn't want to go in because he's like, I don't want to see my dead parents. And so Jimmy and
Jimmy has, I
Ben
think,
go
keys. He knows what the school is. He has the keys or whatever. He's like, all right, Jimmy's like, me and Mark will go. We'll stake out the place, and you'll make steaks.
Yeah.
Like 300. We're gonna need
Steaks.
300 because
We're gonna need a lot of
A
steak. I'm
ridiculous
hungry.
amount of steaks.
I'm really hungry. We're going to need 300 steaks.
So they go off. Ben's working on making
That
the
was a joke.
steaks.
We mean wooden steaks.
No, we meant. Wait, what?
I've actually
Hold on.
I've
My
actually
entire world
done
is
that
shifting.
before.
They've been using wooden stakes to kill these vampires.
No, they're throwing ribeyes at them.
Okay, that's what I thought. Don't scare me like that. Like I'm an idiot.
They were stabbing it with New York strip. Like, ah!
Obviously, T-bone.
Wow. Hey, yeah,
T-Bone,
makes
that's my
sense.
nickname.
Everyone calls you T-bone.
T-Money.
So
Stop making up nicknames.
they're going. But
Nobody likes
T-Thug
it.
Nasty.
while they're at the school, they realize he's not there, and they kind it's what Jimmy has like an epiphany type thing where he goes,
Well,
I've seen that chalk before.
yeah. He sees Ben in the light in the basement of Mark's house. They have 3 overhead lights, and Ben is making the steaks. And he's like, "What's the deal? Somebody leaning over a table, making leaning over and with wood." As weird as that sounds.
They all have wood.
He thinks of the chalk, and it's reminded of a pool hall. It's
chalk,
a pool table with chalk.
Chalk.
Queuing up a stick.
Yeah.
Holy fuck! I get it now.
Yeah.
6 months later, he gets it.
No, it's 7 months now.
Wait, it's pool chalk.
And he
Tim?
remembers
Chalk.
Eva, who is
Chalk.
the owner of the house that Ben
God
is
damn it.
owner of the boarding house that Ben is renting a room in, has a pool table in her basement. And that's how they figure out that Barlow must be now in the basement of
Where Ben's been living the whole time.
Yeah, I know. But so instead of getting Ben and all 3 of them going together to kill Barlow, again, they decide to split up.
again.
So they go and
Ben's going to make steaks, and Jimmy and Mark
without anything are going to go and apparently make sure this is the case.
Well, they were going to go house to house and mark X's on the houses that had vampires in them. And then Jimmy has this epiphany.
That's
and they're
right.
Like,
That's what
Jimmy, actually, it's one of my favorite lines in the
Yeah.
book. Jimmy's like, "Let's go kill this fucker," or something
Yeah.
like. He says something like that. He's so badass when he's like, "Let's not even go back for Ben. Let's kill this dude."
Don't worry, Jimmy's the real hero because as soon as they get to this place and he goes down those stairs, he successfully kills Barlow. We all know he successfully goes down those stairs and he does like a backflip.
Now I'm remembering this after watching the show,
Movie?
the remake,
Yeah.
whatever. He does do that on his own.
The backflip, yes.
Yeah, the backflip.
Down the steps.
Down the steps. Like he's like, ha! I know how to go downstairs. So
They ended it perfectly.
Mark and
Perfect
him go to the boarding house to go down to the basement. They're it's dark, none of the lights are working. They get this eerie feeling. They know that this is the right place, but they want to find out where Barlow's at. So one of the best scenes, like gruesome scenes, happens.
Gruesome.
So
Well, first they notice that all the knives in the kitchen are gone.
yeah, that's right. Mark does.
Yeah.
That's a whole,
Oh, they
whole
actually
paragraph
notice that?
on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mark
shit.
is like, I noticed that all the knives are gone.
And like
Yeah.
little things.
He's like looking for like a switch to turn on, and he realizes the kitchen.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Stephen King does it in a weird way. It's not like he almost like does like a time skip where you see Mark come out of the stairs like covered in blood. Like what?
Yes.
When I was reading, like what
I
the fuck?
agree.
Did I skip over something? Like Mark comes out. What? I was like, he was just upstairs. Now he's coming out of the. He like does a weird time skip.
If you miss something in a Stephen King book, don't worry. The character that it just happened to is probably going to explain what just happened.
So it then goes to Mark's point of view, or is it Jimmy's point of view? I can't remember. It changes the point of view so you see what happens. Why he's coming out of the basement covered in blood. So it turns out Jimmy decides to go out of the basement. And he totally Wile E. Coyotes it.
He takes a little fall.
Apparently Barlow, being smart, had cut out the stairs. He left the first 2 steps, and then in the dark you couldn't see that there was nothing else. So he was going down the stairs.
Okay, honestly, when it comes to the new, the remake of the show, it actually painted a better picture for me because when I was reading it, I literally thought the stairs were gone.
No, he left 2. They say he left 2 stairs.
Yeah, like he left the stairs there.
It's like a comic book.
Yeah, like I thought he just like went to step down and just there was nothing there.
Yeah, there was nothing there. He cut the stairs.
Yeah,
would fall into the elevator shaft because there's no elevator.
And
there.
of course, that on its own might not kill you, just falling down maybe 10 feet. But what will be at the bottom of that area and on boards are.
We found the knives.
Yeah, the knives are all sticking up, ready to go, and it skewers him like in what they say 4 places.
Barlow did what I like to call Home Aloneing it,
but adult version. So Mark realizes this. Oh no, because Jimmy, the last thing he says to Mark is, "There's no stairs." He warns Mark. Well, he does. He warns Mark. I don't know what he says.
There's enough time for his voice to reverberate. There's no stairs.
My last words would have been, "Sally Field's actually kind of hot." I would have hit the. Then Mark would have joined me, but
Oh wait, I actually agree with that.
Sally Field.
Yeah,
she was in Sybil.
She's a very
Not
attractive
Sybil
woman.
Shepherd. All back to episode 4.
whoop, whoop. Spacey Sissick. Slappy spaceship.
I'm having flashbacks.
Sally Sputnik.
Yeah.
What?
So Mark jumps down because he now knows there's no stairs, and he goes, "Oh, don't worry, I'm sure Jimmy Cody's fine. He just tumbled. Oh shit."
He's checking his pulse.
Yeah. He's covered in blood. That's why he comes out of the basement covered in blood. They kind of explain he comes out because Jimmy Cody is now deceased. So then they were 2, Mark and Ben. So
and he goes, "He's dead, Jim."
so he realizes this and he runs out of the house.
Ben,
I've been watching a lot of Star Trek. It's hilarious every time they do it.
Ben is pulling up to the house because that's where he lives.
Yeah.
He's going there. I forget why he's going there.
They get something. I can't remember. Was it a snow globe? I can't
Or
remember.
no. Wait a minute.
No, he drives a car.
He drives. Yeah, Mark drives the car back. He's driving back to Ben at his house.
Yeah.
Ben has finished however many
And Mark
steaks
has
he's gonna
never
do that
driven
day,
a car before. It's a big deal. Like
and
he's
he
like,
catches them on the road.
yeah.
Catches them outside.
And so then he tells them the story. Now it's just them 2, and Mark is like a little pussy because he's only 12. Woo! When I was 12, I was killing vampires. Big whoop. So Ben gives him a speech.
All 3 of us, except for Zach, me, Matt, and Brad, just looked at each other like, "What?"
Big whoop! I was 12 years old. I was killing vampires. Prove me wrong. It's our new segment. Prove me wrong. I'll tell you why you're wrong.
All right, Buffy.
That's a new
All right,
segment?
Buffy, keep going with the story.
When I was 12, I was killing my own boners. Like,
No, you weren't.
well, yeah, you take care of them.
You just kill them.
That's the main thing you do when you're 12.
Brad's trying
you're
to say
beating
that
it
he
too
slays
hard.
boners.
Brad
slays those
domestically
boners.
abused. Brad domestically abused his boner.
We're so close to the end, guys.
We're not there yet.
Right.
He Liza Minnelli'd his boner. Okay, so he choked out her husband.
She did?
Yeah, years ago.
Oh my god.
So anyway,
Ben and Mark go back. It's daytime.
But
Barlow's
it's rapidly not going to be daytime.
It's rapidly not going to be daytime.
Yeah,
Barlow
the sun is setting at an extremely rapid rate, right?
Would you
it's
say
just-
it's quick?
Very
Rapid?
quick.
Every other sentence is like 10
Rapidly.
minutes somehow.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Well, they're like, hey, it's like, well, they kept at this point they're going by the time. They're like, oh, it's like 6:13.
They know the sundown's at like
in the-
6:57 or
yeah,
something like
and
that.
the sun goes down at
they find this back basement that's not part of the basement, but still part of it. It's like the eaves of the house or whatever.
It's crawl space.
They push this.
It's like a crawl space.
Yeah, they find it. They're looking.
They find the door to it.
Yeah, so they're down in the basement. They find the door.
Find the coffin that Barlow is in,
and they for some reason decide they need to drag it out instead of just doing it right then and there.
Just do it right then and there.
They drag him out into the main area.
Drag it out,
By the way, all the other vampires, like a lot of them, are there too.
Yeah, all sorts of bodies are asleep in this crawl space.
Thinking back on this, do you think they drag it out that way? It's like more in the sunlight ish.
I guess I
maybe,
don't know, but it doesn't matter because.
Do you think we could be dragging this out right
maybe
now?
I'm just trying to like devil's advocate, like trying to add some
because the sun sets by the time he stabs.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to add a little bit of rationality.
So he's like about to do it. Barlow opens his eyes. Mark looks in his eyes like an idiot, even though Mark was the one saying not to look in their eyes.
Mark's the smartest character up to the last 30 pages, and then it's like, why are you looking in his eyes, dude?
And so Mark starts attacking Ben.
He looks directly into his eyes after being told not to.
Did I just hear an echo?
Anyway, so Mark looks into his eyes, and
Mark looks right into his eyes.
So he attacks Ben.
Dumb dick kid, who reads up on all this shit, and he's like looking into his eyes.
The most important line. For the most important line before they go down the basement. Ben looks at Mark lovingly in the eyes and randomly says, "I love you."
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
That is like.
And then Mark's like, "I already know," and then they embrace and a kiss before he's like lowered into carbonite. It was so random. I love you. He says, "I love you" to a kid. Not his own. That he's known for like 12 hours.
You just reminded me of that.
Yeah, he just says randomly, "I love you."
It's like a one-paragraph sentence. I love you.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the chapter.
Yeah, he just says, "I love you" before they go down.
It's a weird thing to
say to a 12-year-old boy that's not your relative.
All right, it was the 70s, guys.
Have you not done that before?
Not got up to a 12-year-old boy and said, "I love you." No.
Oh, okay.
My dad, I don't think he ever said. No, I think my dad might have. I think I said I loved you to my dad once in my life.
My dad said he loved me all the time. That's why I've helped my self-esteem today.
This is
That's why I became
sad.
a stripper.
It's getting personal.
I don't know.
I feel like this is another episode.
No, my dad said it all the time. I don't say to him.
Ben attacks, or Mark attacks Ben because
punches
he
him in
looks
the
in his
face.
eyes.
By the way, okay,
Ben
this is the
punches
part.
him in the face.
This is the part that we can all agree on that it pisses us off the most about the whole book.
It's very anticlimactic, just like
Yeah.
Susan.
The thing that pisses me off the most is that Susan went in alone. Like, why would you?
No,
any sane adult do that?
I don't care. I don't care about that. She was trying to do something, but like when they actually do something,
doo-doo.
You said doo-doo. Oh, yes!
Well, they do it, and then that's it. It was that easy.
Yeah, there's no obstacle except for the 12-year-old trying to beat up a 34-year-old. That's not going to work.
There was no final fight.
Yeah,
it was just the.
And here's the thing:
he
that
wakes
gets me.
up, and then
Barlow's like, "You'll never get me." Nah, 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 nah. Better people have tried. Everyone's tried, and like you think there'd be more of an obstacle than throwing a stake through the guy's heart.
He's acting like the greased up deaf guy.
Yeah, you think he'd have like another, familiar or something. I don't know. But he opens his eyes. It's sunset just as Ben sticks the stake in his heart, slams it several times. It's a very detailed death, at least.
Oh yeah.
He
he's
disintegrates
got
the
to
blood,
and there's blood spewing out everywhere. It's covering every wall.
I think doesn't he mention the other bodies like writhing in pain too? Almost like they kind of they have a psychic connection to him or something.
He specifically said the word writhing a lot in that book,
like naked and sweaty and glistening and Mark. And I love you, and I love you. Those are the words that he uses.
And Mark.
Yeah,
that's fucked up.
So anyway. Barlow's dead, and then they run out. Like they realize that other people are starting to wake up. The sun's set. Like they go, "How can you kill the master?" Something like that. You killed the master, and they all run away. And they're like, "We'll take care of it later."
Yeah, Mark and Ben are out of there. They leave. Yeah. They skip town.
They're gone,
and that's literally the end of the book. There's an epilogue, but it's Mark and Ben riding out of town. They stay in a motel. Ben comes back. And then leaves again, and
they're going to do it. They said they're going to take care of it or something like that.
And then in the epilogue, they come back and they start a brush fire. And
something about fire purifies.
Apparently, that brush fire is going to burn down the whole town.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't rain or something.
Yeah.
They're like, they start a little brush fire on the edge of town.
What gets me is they wait a year before they do it. Why can't they just do it right then and there? Why wait a year?
Why? I mean, they were scared apparently, but
a year.
Like, just fucking not be scared.
Yeah, well, they're looking at like these like clippings and seeing how the attacks are getting further and further away from Salem's Lot because these vampires are left unchecked for a year. It's starting to get closer to another town. That's why they come back eventually.
Anyway, that is our entire... God, how long have we been recording?
You don't want to know, man. You don't want to know.
Are we way over an hour?
There's...
Yeah.
Way
Closer
over an
than
hour.
2 than 1.
Should we make this 2
But
parts? Like, this is crazy.
I mean, there's
No.
I mean, it took like almost 2 hours to record this, right?
Well,
But it
we
took
can
a
record.
lot
We can
longer to
record
read
all
it.
tonight and make it 2 parts, right?
Yeah,
Can you cut at this point? You want to say something magical?
Yeah. I think we should all give the book a 1 out of 10 rating. Though.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
What do we?
Yeah,
Wait,
and then
really
I'll
doing a
I'll
two-parter?
we're gonna record it all tonight. Everyone, maybe Tim will cut this out. We'll record it all tonight, but we're gonna cut it in 2 parts.
Okay.
So anyway, let's give a book out of 10. What you thought, and just like an overall feeling of the book. Who wants to go first? No one. Bueller.
I don't want to go first because I feel like I'll go first.
I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
Oh my
8 out
god!
of 10.
You just throw it out there and it's an 8 out of
Yeah.
10. What's your reasoning? Defend yourself.
Yeah.
Well, it was good.
I have a lot I want to say.
I
about
mean,
so
it was really good. I liked all the detail into it. I like how religious it got.
Yeah.
I like how they described vampires on like. I mean, I'm not into vampires.
I agree.
So I don't know too much
Lore.
What?
Lore.
Lore?
Lore.
Yeah, I guess I don't know, but
Background.
I mean, I really don't know too much about vampires.
Lore.
So after reading this, like, I learned a lot more, and I thought it was pretty good. But I didn't. I mean,
hold on. As a horror enthusiast,
yeah, I don't like. I'm not into vampires.
Huh. All right.
Yeah, it's
You know
really
what?
not my
You know,
bag.
In your defense, though, I feel like there aren't a lot of good vampire
Especially
movies.
the past, what,
Yes.
20
Yeah.
years?
No, well, when it comes to that, it's like Twilight is like the big one, and then
Yeah.
other than that, it's like Dracula, Nosferatu.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ram
like,
Stoker's
I never
there's
saw
True
Blade. I never
Blood
saw.
on
Yeah,
HBO.
Oh, yeah,
but True
Blade.
Blood's
I
basically
don't know about Blade.
I mean,
it's Twilight for adults. Let's be
yeah.
real.
I mean, just like those vampire movies, I've never really rushed out and saw. So
Yeah.
The only one my go-to is 30 Days a Night,
It's a good movie.
but that's, I mean, it doesn't. I don't think that goes into like the lore of vampires.
No, not really.
It's- So yeah,
yeah, so I give it.
I get you.
Yeah, so
8 out of
yeah,
10.
I give it an 8 out of 10. But
What'd you give Carrie? Does anyone remember?
I never finished Gary.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you
The
gave
end-
it
Silly me.
Still?
6.5. 6.5 out of 10.
What?
still.
Still?
You
Oh, I
need to finish
eventually
it.
Like
finished
he's
it.
gonna
Oh, you
finish
did?
it after the
Yeah.
episode.
No.
Yeah.
Either way, no. You got to finish the book. The end of the book is the best
It
part.
is the best
Yeah, I
part.
eventually finished it.
Hell yeah!
All right.
Oh, it's so,
So
great.
8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go? You want to go, Brad?
I don't know how to rate this because
boy.
as far as like Stephen King or as far as like horror novels, because either way, I'm
Gonna
actually
anger me.
not that
It's gonna-
experienced.
It's going to anger me. Just as in general. Like, give it your
In
gut
general?
feeling, like, based on
Well-
the reading and all that.
I'll put it to you this way: reading it initially and not having anyone to talk about it with, I was very bored,
Okay.
and then I thought it ended very suddenly.
Okay.
So like it built up to this whole moment
Yeah.
of we're done.
So now you know how a woman feels when she's in bed with you.
No, I don't know, but after talking about it, it makes me appreciate it more. It makes me appreciate the character development,
Yeah.
everything that's been going on. Honestly, I kind of want to reread it now, just
Yeah.
so I can appreciate it more, and also
In retrospect, you appreciate it more.
yes, and understand it more, especially watching the movies and everything.
Yeah.
So it gives me a little bit more perspective.
Well, if you give it a number right now, what would you give it?
6.
6 out of 10.
Six to 7.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
That hurts. I guess I'll go next. At first, I was very cold on it. It was very slow, but like BJ, I kind of appreciated it later. That was slow. The story, as I mentioned before, is the story of Salem's Lot. Stephen King is a master at this. He makes this small town. He makes the characters very worthwhile. He builds them up. He gives them characterization. They're not just two-dimensional, except for if you're Susan.
I thought Ben was 2-dimensional.
Well, yeah, been to. Which goes to show you, like, you know, we mentioned our favorite characters, and no one really said Ben.
Yeah. As a main character, he's 2-dimensional.
Yeah,
Like, come
most
on.
main characters are. Let's be real. So, I mean, I read this. I was like, remember, I text you several times. I'm like, when does the vampire stuff happen? And you're like 400, 2/3, and finally it did. And I'm like,
It's like watching a gay porn. The women never came.
yeah. And I was just, as I was reading it, I'm like, okay, this is kind of slow. I mean, this isn't really a vampire. It's not bloody. It's not necessarily. But the end picks up, and then I start to really care about these characters. I really liked it. Like looking back in retrospect, like while I was reading it, it's weird. I didn't like it, but then when I looked back on it and started to think about it, I liked it.
Yeah. You discussed it a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
I give it a 8, maybe 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a really good book.
Okay.
Maybe even higher. I don't know. Once it settles in a little bit, and we start talking more about it, it might be a 9 out of 10. I don't know, but definitely 8 to 8.5 right now, maybe higher. So, what about you, Tim?
As far as I go, I gotta say this is definitely a book that grows on you.
Yes,
it really does. When I first finished this book, I gotta say I was a little disappointed in the ending. It seemed like it was an abrupt ending. It seemed like I wanted more from it, but also maybe that's just a side effect of living in 2019 where everything has to be so like
Michael Bay.
Yeah, Michael Bay about everything. The ending.
Why didn't Barlow explode?
The ending summed a lot of stuff up and left a lot of stuff open. It had just enough, closure as well as enough, still wondering.
Yeah.
I'll give it honestly, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. It was really a good book. As far as
I'm there with you, man.
Looking back on it, every character gets a little piece of the cake. Everybody, has their moment in the sun, and you really understand that this is more than just one character's story. This is a town. This is everybody coming together. We've been recording for over. Did you say over 2 hours now?
We're getting close to 2 hours.
We're getting close to 2 hours now. And honestly, I feel like we could go on and on about this book.
Oh, yeah. There's so much more. We haven't even talked about some of our favorite stuff
We
in the
didn't
book.
talk about... I have written down in my notes here the symbolism of the snow globe. There's so much symbolism going on in this. There's so many...
You know the snow globe. You're shaking me.
He stole the snow globe from the Marston house.
As a kid.
And then he breaks it at the end.
Saying he doesn't give a shit about his past. Like he's moving on.
I don't even remember that. It's been like 8 months since I've read the book.
Anyway, I highly enjoyed it. It was even though it was long and it's like a diesel engine. It takes a while to rev up. But once it revs up, it's hard to put down. It really is. And so 9 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10. There are books I definitely like more than this book, but I will say this was a good one.
I'm going to do a quick calculation, see what the average Horrormonger score was. I'm going to say mine was a 9 plus 9. Matt said 8. Brad said 6, really dragging it down.
I'll say 6.5.
Nope, too late.
Okay.
Math. Talk while I do this, someone.
Okay, well, let's talk about Hubie Marsden. We didn't even talk about Hubie Marsden and how dumb of a name that was.
Yeah. Hubie?
His name is Hubert.
Hubie Lewis in the news.
The guy that owned the house, that had it built.
He owned the house, yeah, and he was like
okay,
the reason
stop talking, no one cares.
So, average of 8.
Average of 8, if you're curious. It took me that long to get my calculator out.
I like it.
8. So
decent book.
Decent book. I actually liked it. Okay, better or worse than Carrie?
Better.
I
Way
agree.
better. Yeah.
I liked Carrie, but I also liked the end better. Again, it's
the end of Carrie was better. I'll say that.
Again, talking about it with other people, like getting to understand it better. It seems to be a better written novel. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he's got a lot more characters, more character development. But I can't get over the end of Carrie. How one person fucks over a whole town with their telekinetic abilities, and it's just
I think it's
awesome.
The story of Carrie was more unique. I think it was a more. You don't hear that story more often, and I think Stephen King really opened himself up with that first book.
Yeah,
as far as being a unique author, this story, even though back in '75 it probably
wasn't quite as many,
much more unique.
You saw Bram Stoker, which is like the definitive.
Yeah, I think that. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to say Carrie is. It's like, I don't know. I feel like comic books, were. When did Marvel start happening?
I mean, technically back in World War II, but Spider-Man didn't kick off until like 61.
So, like, Carrie's basically an X-Men She's like,
yeah,
she's got
telekinetic powers,
whatever.
She's Jean Grey.
But she doesn't know how to control it, and she's this high school girl, and then
she knows how to control it.
Well, she eventually figures out how to very quickly, and then it just kind of goes too far.
Yeah.
And
it's really a story of school shootings before school shootings were a thing. If you think about it,
and it's fucked up to think about it that way, but
it kind of is. That's kind of what it's kind of like a telekinetic school shooting.
Yeah,
they bullied her, they pushed her too far, and she.
But it is a horror novel, and that's kind of the whole point of it. But I mean, she starts with the school. That's what's fucked up about it. She starts with the school, and then she's just like,
the rest of the town has to pay.
I'm done with everything.
Well, it's because she's just causing destruction as she walks home.
Yeah.
Basically.
And in contrast, Carrie was about a person getting made fun of and about becoming the bad guy, whereas Salem's Lot was much more classic. We know there's a bad guy. We gotta defeat him. Type of story. You know what I mean? And it's a group of people trying to defeat an evil entity. Yeah. And even though that is a story that's been told time after time, this managed to be a very unique on its own story.
Maybe the actual staking of the vampires itself isn't a big deal. Maybe it's supposed to be anticlimactic, because Barlow says people have tried, but maybe it's the point is that Ben Mears didn't have to do anything spectacular. He was just lucky enough to survive, and he got to Barlow in time, and the vampires had a clear weakness of, it wasn't supposed to be a supernatural, like, magic and super fighting kung fu like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, maybe, It was supposed to be more realistic-ish. Hey, if vampires really existed, it wouldn't be so hard to kill them.
Hold on. You're trying to say realistic when it comes to vampires.
Yeah. People out there believe they're vampires.
Yeah, but
Robert
you're
Pattinson
saying
and Taylor Lautner are real people.
You just said if vampires existed, this is a realistic take on it, even though they don't exist, so we wouldn't know exactly how.
You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is he doesn't make it like mystical and kung fu-y, like they come out and they rip people's heads off like it's nothing. Well, it's more like a classic Bram Stoker's tale.
Okay, Bram Stoker, but at the same time,
it's more classic.
I feel like Barlow could have. I don't know what the term is. Apparated. I've been reading a lot of Harry Potter.
Apparated? So, I love you right now. That's a Harry Potter.
He could have just just apparated into a different position. And he's like, oh, he's about to stab me. Now I am over in this other side of the room.
But again, I think the point was Barlow's just as vulnerable as anyone else. Yeah. It doesn't matter. But I think Barlow in other Stephen King novels, doesn't he? I think he's brought up again. He's kind of like one of the big bads in the Stephen King universe.
Is in the Stephen King universe one of the bad guys that keeps reoccurring. He's it. He's Randall Flagg. This is as apparently the theory that Stephen King has his own universe where this evil entity keeps showing up. The Man in Black from the Crimson King, whatever.
I've heard this from many people.
From the Dark Tower.
Yeah, they're all the same. They're all
it's all the same person.
It's an entity, an evil and godlike entity that kind of forms in each. Yeah.
And that's why I'm really excited.
And if you read, we should read the Dark Tower series because that really kind of explains the what they call a circle, the name for Ka something.
Ka-Tet?
Yeah. I can't remember the name of the wheel.
Ka's a wheel.
Yeah, I think it's just Ka.
The whole reason I wanted
Nobody knows what we're talking about except people who've read that book.
The whole reason I wanted to get into Stephen King was because I've heard such great things about the Dark Tower series. And then
Stephen King.
We talked about this in episode 4, guys.
Yeah. Well, Stephen. When we talked about Stephen, we talked about Stephen King. He did Marvel before Marvel did, with his own books. He has his own universe.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I'd love to get started on Dark Tower series.
Yeah, it's a great book. You told me you should read some other Stephen King shit before you read Dark Tower because of how he incorporates a lot of his stuff.
Definitely
I got your back, Matt.
In his own universe, especially within the Dark Tower series.
We should definitely read at least until the '80s King. I'd say up to Needful Things at least. Honestly,
that's one of the reasons.
I haven't read Needful Things. I'd love to.
Needful Things is one of my favorites.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons.
But then again, every Stephen King book I read, I always say is one of my favorites.
He's a master.
Yeah, I haven't read all of them, but then again, I always try to pick up the good ones.
Absolutely.
Well, that's why I wanted to read it in chronological order, is because I was like, okay, let's start from the beginning and see what characters he develops from here.
And I'll probably post this for them. Do you guys? We'll post this on the thing. But if you listen to this, and you want to put in a comment. Do you want us to continue for our next, which will be several episodes from now, the next Literary Society? Do you want us to continue going chronologically through Stephen King? I mean, we'll do it on our own. But for this podcast, do you want us to do that, or do you want us to start reading a different?
Oh, screw that! We're going to keep doing it.
Well, no. something else besides Stephen King.
Yeah, we're gonna keep doing it.
Fine, I guess I'll read something.
I've been
I mean, I'm down. I want to do Stephen
Is there
King.
anything else? Anything else?
But I mean, we can mix it up. Is what I'm saying. We can mix it up. Is what I'm
not
saying.
Poe.
But if you really think we should just keep going Stephen King, we'll definitely do it. If we don't hear anything back, we'll probably just keep doing Stephen King.
There's other horror writers out there. Stephen King's just the more.
That's true.
I personally would
as
prefer
far as-
more Stephen King. I like the universe.
I
I
love
like.
Stephen King.
I want to watch Castle Rock. We haven't watched that yet. I want to watch Castle Rock.
I'm really excited. I've got The Shining right now. I have a physical copy of it. I'm excited to read it. I want to talk about it.
Yeah. But well, if you got, we're willing to. If you guys think we should just do a different, but we'll go back to Stephen King, no doubt.
No, absolutely.
So is this good for the end of part one?
At this point, I think right now we're gonna pause, and that's right where
that's where we pause.
No, you're gonna pause it when I say pause. I'm last.